What's up, San Diego?
San Diego, turn it up. From the dugout to the sidelines, from the front office to the fan in the stands, this is where San Diego sports comes to be heard.
College athletics is the gift that keeps on giving. This is why I love this stuff.
He's not just talking about the game, he's driving the conversation, breaking it down, calling it out, and saying what everyone else won't.
They start licking their chops, man, when they hear like, oh, look at all these guys the Padres could potentially trade.
This is the voice San Diego Sports trusts on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
We're your favorite show's favorite show.
This is the Braden Surprenant Show.
Think about the children, the family show.
Now, here's Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And happy Thursday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Man, it's sticky outside. Oh, it's gross. So gross. Last night, I got home last night, did a lot of different things yesterday on the day off. I actually ended up, when I have days off, do I lay there like a loaf? No, I should have, but I didn't. I actually was cleaning my house and all sorts of stuff like that. Had football practice, watched my friend's volleyball game. She coaches at Scripps Ranch, obviously, so I went to that. We went and got dinner afterwards. I got back to my place and I was sweating. I was like, it's so hot. I looked at here. It was 80%, like 80% humidity, 86% humidity last night at like 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. I was like, this is like Texas weather that I used to experience. This is brutal. So it's hot. It's sticky out there. Stay dry. Stay dry. Might be extra sweaty, if you will. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to talk a lot about yesterday's game as well as Tuesday's game, kind of recap what's going on, recap the road trip that the Padres have where they went 500 on the road trip, which is fine. And I'll explain in just a little bit. Bob Scanlan's going to join us at 10:35 today, so he'll be on a little bit earlier than usual on a nice little off day for him. And then we'll get into some NFL stuff later on. Eddie Brown from the San Diego Union Tribune will join us in the 1 o'clock hour talking about fantasy football, getting you ready for your fantasy football drafts. Got a lot to break down on the show today, but I do want to start off with obviously yesterday's game and then the series against the Mets in particular and this road trip. And I will, before, I'll preface this by saying that the Padres going 500 on the road trip is not a big deal. Okay. It's fine. I think a lot of people are probably upset by that. I think the frustrating thing is they were good enough to probably sweep the Mets. Monday they ran themselves into outs. Wednesday, they had the error late in the game. You had the jam shot home run that the Mets hit, early in the contest. Padres unable to really get anything going against Robert Stock. You don't like to see the inconsistencies of scoring a bunch of runs and then not scoring any runs. It's not as extreme as it was at the beginning of the season, like Tony said today on the roundtable. But overall, if you go 500 on the road and take care of business at home, it's fine. Now, they have a 1-game lead on Arizona. They now trail Philadelphia by 2 games. Next week, pretty important week for the San Diego Padres. And they got a nice little schedule compared to the other teams that they're competing with. Now, the Twins are red hot now after sweeping Atlanta at home. They have played their way back into a playoff spot, so we'll see what the Twins have in store for the Padres tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. But as Tony mentioned on the roundtable, and I agree, the Cleveland Guardians were red hot before the Padres played them, and the Padres took 2 out of 3. I mean, the American League has not been very good, and you got to be looking at things like right now it's math still. You're trying to go at least 500 on the road. Okay, the Padres accomplished that. I thought they gave away a couple of their games, on this trip specifically in New York. That's the frustrating part. But they're in a playoff spot, and they got to get ready for Minnesota. That's my biggest takeaway from the road trip is they accomplished what they needed to accomplish. But as we get to like 30-something games left in the season, they do need to pick it up a little bit when it comes to not giving away games. They can't give away games anymore to inferior teams. They have to go out there and try to take care of business because every win is so precious now. And it gets even more heightened as we get closer to September and the final stretch of the season. So we're going to talk a lot about that. But overall, I thought that this series is, even though they were 500, the Padres kind of played their way to the 500 mark. I thought they could have it was more self-inflicting of why they went 500 more so than anything else. So they got to be able to take advantage of opportunities given to them because, I mean, they still have a couple of more opponents moving forward here that are going to be difficult to deal with. The Yankees, the Rays, they got to play the two top teams in the American League. You do get the Dodgers one more time. That series against Arizona is going to be very difficult for the Padres. I mean, it could determine a lot. I mean, it's going to be a series that matters in a very big way. But overall, Frank, based on the road trip, you're not happy that you're 500, but it's satisfactory because the goal is 500 or better on these road trips right now. And you're the Padres. It's hard to win games on the road. And the Padres, if they could play 500 ball on the road but take care of business at home, it's not a big deal. Now, if the Padres don't have two winning series here against the Twins and the Pirates, you're going to look back at this trip to Citi Field and be a little bit more frustrated. But overall, based on the road trip, Frank, you take 500.
Yeah, and a lot of the ways you lost on Monday and yesterday were flukes. I mean, it wasn't like you got outplayed. It wasn't like you got beaten by certainly wasn't that you got beaten by a better team. You getting thrown out at home 3 times in the first 2 innings is something that has not happened since 1920. So that is nothing more than a fluke. Yesterday, you had a couple of things not go your way. That's more fluky than anything. So it's not like you're playing poorly as to why you got these losses. I would be satisfactory. It does, again, like you said, it doesn't feel great that you're 500 coming out of this trip, but you're really in the final 42 games now. You've won your 60. You've now lost 60. You're 8 games over 500 as far as the final 42 games are concerned. You're still in a pretty good position overall. But with how tight the wild card race is, it does hurt a little bit more than it probably should.
Yeah. It does, and I think it's because of the self-inflicted wounds on Monday, and I think it's the way that yesterday happened. I mean, yesterday was the definition, and really the series against the Mets was the definition of that's baseball, which is unfortunate. And the Padres going 2-4 against the Mets while simultaneously winning the season series against Atlanta and Milwaukee is the definition of that's baseball, right? Like, it would have been nice to be able to beat the Mets like everybody else seems to be able to do. Mets seem to have their number right now, but the bullpen looked good for New York. The Padres again self-inflicted on Monday with the base running, and self-inflicted yesterday with the throwing error by Song. That added the runs that put the game simply out of reach for the Padres. In that last inning, I mean, they were threatening. They got the tying run to the plate, but the other thing too with this offense, it just seems like now they went, I think, 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position on Wednesday. You had poor base running Monday, as mentioned before, inconsistent offense. They have a major double play problem. I mean, they hit in it just seems like anytime they get a leadoff guy on, or anytime that they have a situation where a double play is in effect, you almost it's almost like a guarantee they're hitting it with double play. And that happened again yesterday multiple times. In fact, it happened in the final inning. I mean, Austin Hayes at that point with 1 out just needs to find a way to get Fernando up that's on deck. And Fernando had a great series in New York. He loves playing at Citi Field. He loves playing in New York because of the fact that it reminds him of, some of the childhood experience when his dad played for the New York Mets. Like, that's a special place for him to play. And the guy was on a tear. You're Austin Hayes. You got to find a way to get the ball, to get the bat into the hands of Fernando. Like that you have to find a way to do that. And the game's not on him, obviously. You're asking him to do a lot as a pinch hitter right there. It's easier said than done, obviously. But I just feel like, Frank, anytime this team needs a big hit or a sac fly or anything to get a rally going, the double play has just killed this team time and time again on the offensive side.
Yeah, it hasn't looked great. And you saw it again to end the game yesterday. And it's not just one or two guys doing it. It's everybody going up and down the lineup always seems to find themselves hitting into double plays at the worst possible time. Unfortunately, again, that is something that happens. And as we said,
that's baseball, Susan.
That's baseball.
It just happens. There are years where it happens more often than not, and this is one of those years where it happens more often than not.
You actually got a quality start on Michael King yesterday.
Yeah, 6 2/3,
right? He went 6 2/3, and the starting pitching is kind of the story. I think in previous, this is why you could chalk it up as that's baseball and not overly worried about it, because before, when these losses happened, I mean, you were getting like 2 or 3 innings out of your starting pitcher, and it was a disaster, and the offense wasn't clicking. But now, Michael King allowed 2 runs over 6 2/3 innings on Wednesday. Robbie Ray allowed 1 run on 6 innings on Tuesday. Walker Buehler allowed 2 runs in 6 innings on Monday. Casey Mize threw 6 scoreless innings Sunday in Cleveland. That's 4 consecutive quality starts. Something, by the way, Frank, do you know the last time the Padres have had 4 consecutive quality starts out of their starting pitching?
Probably like June or July or May, rather.
They hadn't done it since May. And I'm pretty sure if I'm reading this correctly on Kevin Acey's daily newsletter, I got to double check this. I have to double check this because I thought that's what it said. They hadn't done it since May. 4 quality starts in a row. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. May of last year. They had not had 4 consecutive quality starts since May of 2025.
Wow.
That's amazing for a team that last year made the postseason. It really is. So the starting pitching is starting to really solidify, I think. It's great that they're going deeper into games. Padres have now recorded 8 quality starts in their last 11 games. They had only 21 quality starts in their first 113 games, and they've now produced 9 quality starts in their last 15. That's honestly the most encouraging development surrounding this team. That's a big takeaway from this series. From a positive standpoint, the starting pitching's been a lot better. And it sets you up for an opportunity to win. Because I will say this, the Padres did not play well offensively yesterday. They got the 1 run early in the contest, but that was about it. And the thing was, though, the pitching kept them in the game, unfortunately, to the last inning. But even in the last inning, they were in a position to tie it. They brought the tying run to the plate. They brought the go-ahead run to the plate after they scored a run late. That's an encouraging sign from the pitching staff, because in previous games a couple of months ago, who knows what the score would have rolled into, with the way the pitching staff was. I mean, it could have been out of reach for a longer period of time, but as long as you keep the game within striking distance, I do have confidence in this offense to be able to score runs. They just got to do it a little bit more consistent than they have in the past. And again, 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position. The problem is not the hits with runners in scoring position. The problem would be if they wouldn't get guys in scoring position. They had 12 opportunities. Unfortunately, they only got the 2 hits. They're still putting guys in scoring position. Starting pitching's getting you quality starts. I think that's a recipe for success going into the weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And you've got 2 teams that are on the ropes right now. Minnesota's not great, and then you have Pittsburgh, who've been in a downhill slide before another day off and then another quick little road trip. So I wouldn't be all that concerned going 500, because it's not a sign of you guys didn't do what you needed to do. you're not playing well. It's more of you had some things not go your way, which happens. So I'm feeling a lot better about a 500 road trip now than I was back in April or May.
Again, they go 500 on the road trip. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal if they do well in the homestand. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I mean, they had a really good homestand, their last homestand, against two way better teams. And that was close to being potentially a full sweep of that weekend, right? Of that entire homestand. So now it's the Red Hot Twins, coming from the American League Central. They've actually played their way into a playoff spot as of right now, after sweeping Atlanta at home. And then you got the Pirates, and Paul Skeens is expected to pitch. But as mentioned on the roundtable, we had a question about like players that have that aura that you want to go out and see. I would imagine last year, if Paul Skeens was going to pitch at Petco Park, you'd have a lot of people lining up to see him pitch. But right now, the way he's been pitching and his velo being down, you might be catching Paul Skeens at the right time if you're the Padres.
I'm about convinced now that he's hurt, that he's hiding something, that he's got a problem. Not sure what the problem is, but you don't see a guy throwing 102, 103 casually now all of a sudden drop 8 miles an hour for no reason. There's got to be something wrong with him that he's just not saying at this point.
I would think so too. But the encouraging stuff from this week and this road trip, you're getting quality starts out of your starting pitching. Offensively, it's starting to cool off a little bit with guys like Jackson Merrill and Manny Machado, but offensively, they're able to put up runs. They just need to do it a little bit more consistently. You're starting to go a little bit back to what they were a couple of months ago. But I think the biggest thing from the series is just how incredible Fernando has been. Mm-hmm. And how incredible Fernando has been for the majority of this season now, after what was a really rough start to the year. And this is why I continued to say, you got to bat this guy leadoff. This is why I continued to say during the slump that you have to stick with this guy. You're going to see some of the bad. When everybody wanted a knee-jerk, not everybody. There's a lot of sane Padres fans as well that didn't want to see Fernando traded, because that would have been catastrophically bad. But this is why the Padres gave him the contract that they gave him. For everything that happened this week, for what has happened the last couple of weeks. I mean, he single-handedly can keep this game, or can carry this game, and carry this team, if you will, and take over a game. And we saw that this week at Citi Field, and we're going to talk about the impact of Fernando when we come back. Just getting started on a Thursday. Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Room at Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Broadcasting live for the Bill House Studios, we know how. Joining us next in the next segment will be Bob Scanlan. It's our weekly hit with Bob Scanlan. We love talking with Bob on a Thursday. It's a great day. It's, you know what? Thursdays are great, Frank, because we get to talk to Bob.
100%.
It makes the Thursday so much better. It really does. So much better. So we're talking to Bob with our next segment, if you will. All right, let's talk a little bit more about what happened yesterday and, you know, kind of the big picture of this road trip. Padres are in a very fascinating spot. Lost the series they probably should have won. Lost ground to teams both ahead of them and behind them. Machado definitely back to being cooling. Or that's cooled off. Merrill has cooled off. Offense remains inconsistent, and yet the team may actually be in a better position heading into the final 40 games than it was a month ago because the starting pitching is finally becoming reliable. And that's the piece that can change the ceiling of this team. So even though there was some negative of all of that I just mentioned, there is some positive involved as well with the starting rotation. But now got to get Merrill back going. Got to get Machado back going. And hopefully they do that against the Twins. There's some other things that we want to break down from yesterday's game, but we do want to talk a little bit more about Fernando Tatis Jr. Do you have the home run robbery clip of Fernando?
I can get it.
Yeah, see if you could get the highlights from Tuesday of his 2 home runs and the home run robbery, because like Tuesday's game was the Fernando Tatis Jr. game. I mean, and he is becoming that guy again. He is once again impacting games in multiple ways. He has shown the swagger that he had, you know, early in his career. You know, and he had a signature Fernando Tatis Jr. game on Tuesday in New York. I mean, just all across the board, everything about it. This is the reason why the Padres gave him the contract that they gave him. And the fact that he's doing this now is even better because they're right there in the thick of a playoff race. So it started with the first pitch of the game. I mean, you talk about a tough loss on Monday, running into outs at home plate against the team you should be beaten up on, right? You should have taken 2 out of 3. Obviously, yesterday didn't go their way. But Tuesday's game, I mean, Fernando basically put the team on his back, and it started with this swing on the first pitch of the game.
First pitch is on the way. Tatis swings, hits it a mile. Deep to left field, way back. Oh, yeah, gonna go. Second deck in left for Fernando Tatis Jr., and it's 1-0. 1 pitch into the game.
1 pitch of the game. Guy starts the game off 1-0. That's why I've talked about it so many times. I said it even when he was slumping. Everybody wanted to move him out of the leadoff. This is why you bat him leadoff. For moments like this. He can start the game off. You're already up 1-0 to start the game. He's dynamic on the base pass. I mean, he creates action, and other teams are afraid of him. And they're going to be even more afraid of him now that he's back to swinging the hot stick. And he's putting the ball over the fence. I mean, based on the way that he has hit home runs in the last couple of weeks, it's put him on pace to hit like 40 home runs if he started the season like this. He is showing that he is that player. I mean, where are all the people that were like, see, look, he doesn't have the steroids. He can't hit home runs anymore. He's got no pop anymore. Oh, look at this. He's just not the same guy. He's pouting. We got to get rid of this guy. First pitch, see ya. Then, later on in the game, not too much further along, Robbie Ray gets himself in trouble. He's got the bases loaded with nobody out. He then gets a punch out. He's able to get to 2 outs with the bases loaded. He's trying to get out of the inning, and Francisco Lindor comes up with the bases loaded, and you know what? Things could have got really ugly until Fernando saved the day.
Here's the 1-0. Lindor hits it in the air, deep down the right field line. Fernando all the way into the corner, at the wall, leaps up, and did he catch it? He's holding, he's waiting. He did! What a play! Fernando went up over the right field wall and took a grand slam away. Of all the robberies he's ever made, this one is the best.
I don't think I can disagree with that. Now, there's a little bit of pause there with Jesse because they're tucked in a corner and they have an overhang that corner is very difficult to see. And we heard Tony. Did you hear Tony's explanation of his live watching of that play? He said, he explained the situation, but he's like, I have pretty good vision. I saw the ball go into his glove. And that's when you got the reaction that you got from Tony. But then he was sitting there and I saw his hat fall off. And I thought that he threw his hat on the ground. Like he was upset, like he dropped it. And remember, Jackson Merrill had one that was in and out of his glove when he hit the wall. And so there was a little bit of hesitation there. But then Tony realized that he was kind of in the moment, playing in the moment. He does the little ball flip into his glove, the no-look ball flip into his glove. I mean, what an impressive play by a dude that's got incredible swag, and that was vintage Fernando that I think a lot of Padres fans have been waiting to see for the last couple of years when that was the 2021 Fernando all up in one play. And that, honestly, he has made some incredible plays in his career. That might be the best play. I think it is the best play he's ever made.
And I think context is a little bit more important. That's an incredible home run robbery for sure. But to rob a grand slam and then for it to later on down the line, you realize that's the play that saves the game. They lose that game if he hits that grand slam. 5-2 final makes it 6-5 at the end of the game. If Lindor hits that grand slam, that was an unbelievable catch and one that you can watch a million times over and not get tired of it. And of course, ever the showman, hat goes flying, waits, allows everyone, because he knows everyone's waiting on him, and then flips the ball up in the air. That's ever the showman of an incredible vintage Fernando Tatis Jr. play.
And then he wasn't done. He then added to the Padres' runs later in the contest. He hits an absolute no-doubter the opposite field, right center field, where the Mets tried to pull off Fernando's robbery against them. They're unable to do so, and Fernando extends the Padres' lead.
2-1 is hit in the air, deep to right field. Benj is going back onto the track. He's at the wall. This one, gonna go! Fernando does it again. Oppo Taco for Tatis. His second of the night. A 2-run homer, and it's 3-0.
This is the difference between a player having a really good day and a superstar. A superstar is a player that makes plays and changes the outcome of the game compared to just a really good player that has a good day. And this is why Fernando is on this team for the next, however many years he's got left on his contract. But this is why they gave him the 14-year deal. This is why they invested so much in him. And I know you're going to go through all the bad of Fernando too. And I think you've seen some of that. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect, but the numbers are starting to look like Tatis again. 10 home runs in his previous 29 games, 10.08 OPS during that stretch, which leads Major League Baseball. And, earlier in the season, you were worried about the home run production because Tatis had only 15 home runs through 125 games, his fewest at that point of any season in which he's played at least 125 games. But he has been absolutely hitting the living daylights out of the ball. Nobody had hit as many balls as far as Fernando has. Tatis had 4 home runs projected at 450 plus feet. His 452-foot homer in New York was one of them. His 474-foot homer in Arizona on July 21st was the longest home run, in Atlanta, with the longest home run of the Major League Baseball season. The raw home run total and power is still there. And Fernando takes over a game. And he's not just, he's hitting the home runs now. He's doing stuff with his speed, the defense, the bat. And this is the best time that you would want to see Fernando hitting his stride was right now when you're in the middle of a pennant race, Frank.
Yeah, for sure. And this is the Fernando that you waited April and May for. You finally got him, and he's paying off in dividends.
This is the Fernando that you were expecting to see. And, he has been absolutely remarkable over the last couple of weeks. And this is the guy that's going to help take you to the finish line. And it's going to be fun to watch more Fernando, in the next couple of weeks. When we come back, we'll get some word from Bob Scanlan on the road trip, how the road trip went. And we'll get a full report of what's going on with the Padres from Bob Scanlan's perspective when we come back. Well, when you hear Casey and the Sunshine Band, you know it's time for the best segment of the week. And that is bringing on Bob Scanlan on our SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. Now, usually he comes in to close the game, but, we're getting him as I don't know. He didn't start the show.
Yeah, starter had a little bit of trouble, maybe an injury.
Scan's going to be called to eat some innings here, a little long relief, if you will, in the middle of the contest. But I know he's up for the challenge, especially when he hears Casey and the Sunshine Band. So good to welcome Bob Scanlan back to the show. Bob, what's going on? How's your off day going?
Braden, I'm doing great. Yeah, I always have the spikes on and the glove ready because you never know when that phone's going to ring and you got to come into the ball game, right?
That's right.
Ready to go, man. Looking forward to talking some ball with you today. You guys doing okay?
Yeah, we're doing great. Scan gets the ballpark rated pitch every day, regardless. He says he's there to eat some innings. That's right. Let's talk about, obviously, the road trip as a whole. I think Padres fans with the way that Monday and Wednesday went might be slightly disappointed when you start looking at things from a more full view. Padres, the last couple of road trips have gone 500. That's kind of where you want to be. Could have been better, yes, but you'll take a 500 road trip anytime you can, as long as you take care of business at home. What was your synopsis of the trip to Cleveland and New York?
To your point, you're never upset when you go 500 on a road trip, right? I mean, that's sort of the mantra, 500 on the road. You play winning baseball at home. That being said, as good as the Padres are playing baseball right now, I think we all sort of expected to be able to come back from this road trip with a winning record. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with 500, but they're playing so good right now. And that's been fun to watch. So I was kind of surprised that it wasn't a winning road trip. It felt like a winning road trip in a lot of ways. They're doing so many good things right now. They're playing some of their best baseball of the year. So even though it wasn't the over 500 road trip, look, it was a tough loss that first game in New York, no question about it. Yesterday's was frustrating. It just seems like Michael King is that guy that just can't get any run support no matter how good he pitches. But that being said, again, they're hitting. They're getting great contributions now from the starting rotation, which is in turn taking pressure off the bullpen. So it just seems like they're starting to click on all cylinders right now. So excited about this homestand.
Let's talk about the pitching. We saw some of the numbers in the daily newsletter from Kevin Acee about the quality starts, and the Padres have now had 4 consecutive quality starts for the first time since May of 2025. That's obviously very glaring, but they have had 8 quality starts in the last 11 games. They have had 9 quality starts in the last 15. They only had 21 quality starts in their first 113 games, but you had Michael King yesterday. Robbie Ray allowed 1 run over 6 innings on Tuesday. Walker Buehler allowed 2 runs in 6 innings on Monday. Casey Mize threw 6 scoreless on Sunday. As difficult as the road trip was in terms of wins and losses and only being 500, there is a very encouraging sign that you're starting to get more out of your starting staff. And, what does that do for a ball club, Scan, especially a playoff team or a team that wants to be in the playoffs, when you're getting consistent quality starts out of their starting staff?
Well, first of all, you have to have it, right? I mean, you have to have that if you're going to be a consideration for postseason and a considerable threat in postseason play. But it does so many things, and I'll start with just the pitching staff, the rotation alone. When Michael King and Walker Buehler were basically the 2 guys that were expected to be able to give this team 5 innings every time that they went out, there's just a little bit of an added pressure in those situations, right? I mean, you already want to do well, but at the same time, when you realize I have to do well because the bullpen is already taxed because of all the innings that they're picking up on the days where, Michael King and Walker Buehler are not pitching, that those days I feel like I've got to go 5. I've got to try to go 6. And if I don't, I can really throw this entire pitching staff into a tailspin. So first of all, it takes some of the pressure off those guys. But at the same time, because you've brought in a Casey Mize and a Robbie Ray, 2 veteran guys who are they've got standards. It also raises your expectations of yourself of, oh, okay, now we're a formidable force, and those guys went out and pitched 6 innings, gave up 1 run. I'm going to do the same thing. In fact, I'm going to go 6 1/3. I'm going to go 7. It's like you start pushing each other in a positive way. So there's sort of the dual factor of that. That in turn takes some of the pressure off the bullpen, because now those guys can get back onto their normal routines. I think, look at a guy like Kyle Hart, for example. He had 3 spot starts. He had 4 or 5 outings coming out of the pen between those starts. One of them was to finish off a ball game and pitch the 8th and the 9th. 3 others were to come into the 2nd inning or the 4th inning or the 6th inning. He was all over the place and did a fantastic job with it. But it sure is nice when you come to the ballpark as a bullpen guy and you feel like, okay, I can get my pregame work in. I can get my flat ground work in. I might pitch 3 innings, but I might pitch 2, but I kind of know what my role is again, and I know when I'm going to be used in the game. It just settles everything for everybody, and they get a little bit more rest because there's a chance that you might not have to pick up a ball for 3 days. And at this point in the season, that's huge, as opposed to what they were doing before they picked up Casey Mize and Robbie Ray before the trade deadline, which was, I might have to pitch every day. If I get 2 days off, that's a luxury. And talking to some of those guys, they were starting to get a little bit physically stressed because of the lack of any kind of extended rest under that program. So rotation is healthy and better. They're pushing each other in a positive way. The bullpen is now back on a normal routine. They get needed rest that was long overdue. So those things are all positive. And then there's just the other part of it, Braden. As a team as a whole, when you come to the ballpark on a given day and you know who your starting pitcher is, and you know it's a guy that's formidable, and you know it's a guy that can get you into the 5th or 6th inning and keep you close, you just come to the ballpark with a sense of, we've got a chance to win today. And I just think that changes the entire morale of the team. And we've seen all of those effects since Robbie and Casey have gotten here. And a lot of people were raising an eyebrow after their first outings, didn't go so well, after both of them had been taken out of the routines and not pitched for a long time. But as we said, look, give these guys a chance. Let them get settled in, both physically and emotionally, to their surroundings. Let them get back on their normal physical routines of their bullpens and preparing for a start. And let's see what happens. And voila, here we've seen what happens. Both those guys have pitched great, and the team's as strong overall in every sense than it's been all season long.
We're talking with Bob Scanlan, a Padres broadcaster for both television and radio. He joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. Fernando Tatis Jr. really going back into form of what we've seen him when he was a young player. I think most people knew that he could still be the dynamic player and a player that takes over a game. But, I mean, yes, a couple of days ago on Tuesday's game, that was the Fernando Tatis Jr. game from start to finish. It's pretty impressive, and this kid continues to do things that you've probably never seen before. I mean, a leadoff home run on the first pitch of the game. He robs a grand slam. He then adds with another home run. I mean, from your vantage point on Tuesday, take us through that home run robbery that you watched, as well as, tell us about what an incredible night at the Ball-Yard it was to watch him play.
I guess we're just going to refer to it as the Toddy game now. Moving forward, we'll always look back and say, remember the Toddy game?
Yes.
It was so fun to watch. And we really got a chance to see everything that this kid is still capable of, right? And when he does stuff, and he can do things that very few other people can do on a baseball field, but when he does it all in one night, it sort of shows you the whole package. I mean, I guess the only thing he didn't do is tag up from third on a pop up to the second baseman. So yeah, we didn't get to see that. But other than that, it was vintage Fernando Tatis Jr. And I guess we'll focus on the catch for now. I didn't know if he had gotten that ball or not, because he had to run, he had to leap, he had to time it perfectly, he had to get over the fence, and I didn't see the ball carry him or moving anywhere. So I'm thinking to myself, he may have gotten that, but there was no reaction from him. And this was the flair part, right? This is the Fernando having fun part that also not many people can pull off the way that he pulls off. And he stands there, the hat flips off, the dreadlocks are hanging and showing in all their glory, and he's just standing there just totally stoic. and then he flips the ball from his glove over to his hand. I mean, you can't recreate that. It was just such an incredible moment. It was so much fun. It's this combination of athleticism and showmanship and flair, and not in a way that's showing anybody up. It's just a way of he is having fun being this incredible athlete that can do things on a field that, you know, a lot of other people can't do, and inviting everybody else to have fun and enjoy the moment with him. And I loved it. I loved every part of it. And it's why we never want to take our eyes off him when he's on the field, right?
The ball flip it gets me every time. I think I've watched that probably 1,000 times. It was so effortless and cool, and the way that it ended the inning was great. I mean, you know, that's the first time Robbie Ray has been the beneficiary of a big Fernando play in the outfield. His reaction was priceless. He had a look on his face like, did that really just happen? You know, as a pitcher, what's that like when guys behind you make a play like that? You know, I mean, obviously you're super stoked about it to help yourself out, but it's got to be fun sometimes when you get to watch, you know, kind of your fielder help you out a little bit or see something remarkable when you're on the mound.
Well, it goes from one extreme to the other, right? And that's about as extreme as you get, because you're standing there and the ball's going out and you're just thinking to yourself, I just gave up a grand slam, right? I just sunk my team for the game, and your stomach is just dropping, and you're just like, your heart stops. I mean, it's this deflating moment. And within a second, it completely turns around into this moment of ecstasy, and also a moment of, I can't believe what I just saw right there. You know, I mean, it takes a superhuman effort. I mean, it's one thing when you see a guy dive in the gap and you appreciate it, right? Because you know your teammate he's sacrificing his body and he's laying out for you, and you love and appreciate those plays. But when you see something, you know, as special as that, especially for a veteran guy to react the way he has, you can tell this is something unique and something that you're not going to see on a daily basis. And so it was, I think, a combination for Robbie Ray of, thank God I didn't just lose the game for my team, on top of which, did I just see something that I may never see again? Yeah. So very, very cool moment for him.
As we get closer, Bob, and this is kind of the last thing for you, you know, to the end of the season here, we got an upcoming homestand against the Twins and the Pirates. I'm sure the clubhouse doesn't really care what the other team's records are at this point. You're just trying to find, you know, areas to win. What's the approach now, you know, from a player standpoint when you're getting down to the nitty gritty and the standings are really tight? I mean, what's your mindset? Is it a day by day approach? How do these professionals handle this?
Yeah, it's totally day by day. That doesn't mean that you're not looking at the scoreboard, because you are, right? Because it matters at this point, and everybody's fighting for those wild card spots, and you want to see what the Phillies are doing. You want to see what the Diamondbacks are doing. You're interested, but the number one thing and the only thing that you control is taking care of business, yourself and your game right here, right now. And so you're physically tired, right? It's sort of the dog days. You can be emotionally tired, but you put all that stuff aside and you put away the aches and pains, and you just say, hey man, we've got a ball game today, and this ball game matters, and this plate appearance matters, and this pitch that I'm about to throw matters, and me coming into the ball game with runners on base and being able to strand them matters. You know, me being able to go an extra 2 outs right here, to take 2 more outs off the shoulders of my bullpen right now here in the 6th inning or the 7th inning or whatever it may be, it matters. Me hustling, you know, to get a good jump off of first base to try to break up a double play matters. I mean, you just come to the ballpark with this sense of, I've got to stay focused, and I'm going to take care of business because I know my teammates are as well. And it's a great sort of bonding experience right now, because you have your own personal things that you're fighting through, but you also know that everybody else on your team is also fighting through those things, and you're doing it together, and you've got a common purpose. And this is what you've been working for all season long. It's go time, man. Let's get after it.
Bob, we appreciate the time as always. And we do want to congratulate you on being part of the number 1 ranking in the baseball announcers ranking, with you and Don and Mud and Jesse and Tony. You guys do a great job, and it's a well-deserved honor for you guys. So a big congratulations from us to you.
I appreciate that, and total team effort, all the people behind the scenes as well. Don't forget Mary Lou's Cook is part of our team also, and you know, Jason Lewis and Zach Jensen and all, you know, everybody, Daniel Farias. There's so many people behind the scenes that help us get those broadcasts together on a nightly basis, and you know, it's a huge team effort. Thank everybody for their support. Thank you, the fans, for voting for us. Thanks for watching our broadcast. We always appreciate your input also of how we can make our broadcast better. And the final thing I'll say is, I have so much respect for anybody that's in this industry that's willing to, have the courage and put in the work to be able to get an opportunity to hold a microphone and stand in front of a camera and talk about their team and baseball to the fans. So, regardless of where anybody was ranked, I have a ton of respect for everybody that's in this broadcast business. And I wish everybody the best. And thank you, Padres fans, for voting for us. We appreciate it. Let's go, Pods.
Let's go, Pods. All right, Bob, enjoy the rest of the day off. Look forward to seeing you again on the broadcasts coming up this weekend. And we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great. Thanks, Braden. Talk to you guys soon.
Bob Scanlan joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. When we come back, we'll talk more Padres baseball. When's Joe Musgove going to be back? We got the report. Hour number 2 of the Braden Surprenant Show, 11 o'clock here on a sticky Thursday. It's sticky. That's basically it. It's sticky, which is gross. It's gross. We used to never have this type of weather, and like it started to like start showing up like I think like right before I got to high school, we started getting like this humidity. It just seemed like out of nowhere, and now it's just sticky. The other day was sticky. Yesterday was sticky. Today it's 81 degrees, and according to the weather app, only 66% humidity, which is a lot better than what it was yesterday, which was like almost 80. I think it was 86 at like 7 o'clock last night, 9 o'clock at night. Rough, brutal. All right, let's get to the pitching side of things for the Padres here as we start hour number 2. I thought we had an interesting conversation, by the way, about Ty France in the roundtable. We're going to get to that in the next segment. But right now, we're going to talk a little bit about Joe Musgrove, the timeline, and what the pitching staff will look like with him potentially coming back. So Musgrove's getting close, but the Padres don't need to rush him. And according to the daily newsletter from Kevin Acee yesterday about Joe Musgrove, it says that his next start will be in the minor leagues, with the Padres deciding between either AA or AAA at the time this was written yesterday. The key point, obviously, is that the organization is being deliberately cautious. Musgrove has now made 3 rehab starts, and the progression has been encouraging. His third outing was particularly important because he stretched out to 70 pitches over 4 2/3 innings for AAA El Paso. Results not the best, but it is noted that the workload was the important part of the outing. And that's the distinction to really emphasize here for us is, we don't care about the results. We care about the workload. So, and we talked about it earlier this week. You can't judge his rehab by the ERA. Judge it about how he feels after, how many pitches he goes, how many innings can he go, because that's what's the most important. Musgrove hasn't pitched in the majors since Game 2 of the 2024 National League Wild Card Series against Atlanta. He underwent Tommy John surgery shortly afterward. He missed all of 2025. He had a setback this spring. But he is finally getting back to being a major league pitcher after essentially 2 years away. And the encouraging part, of course, is we talked about the starting rotation having 4 consecutive quality starts in a row for the first time since May of 2025. But, I think that also leads, Frank, to not having to rush Joe Musgrove back until they are 100% ready to throw him out there. And it sounds like they want him to get significant innings. And when you start looking at what the rotation is with Joe Musgrove, without Joe Musgrove, I mean, based on the fact that they have had all of these now a lot more quality starts out of their starting staff, add Joe Musgrove to the mix, and you got a playoff caliber staff ready to go in the next final month of the year and hopefully in October.
Yeah, Tommy John surgery is not easy to come back from. Many people don't. And for a guy like Hunter Green, who's now having his second Tommy John surgery, that's even harder to come back from. And you want to make sure, especially with Joe being a little bit older than some of the guys that are getting it now, you want to make sure he's ready to go. You want to make sure that he fully trusts his arm. And he's not ramping up to come back in May or June where he can get the time to figure it out. He's coming back at the end of August and September, right in the middle of a playoff race. So he is going to need to be sharp right from the moment he returns instead of having a little bit of leeway like what we saw with Sandy Alcantara last year, where he was way down on his numbers to the point where they thought he was going to get traded at the beginning of last season. So for the pitching staff to be in the position that it's in, getting Casey Mize, getting Robbie Ray, adding some of that help in the rotation, plus now also seeing the guys that you have, Michael King, Walker Buehler, and Randy Vasquez pitching to a high standard and high ability, that makes the decision to let Musgrove sit and wait and get better and make sure he's ready to go a lot easier than it was this time last month.
The Padres, and this is what was reported in this newsletter. The Padres want to see Joe Musgrove throw 80 plus pitches and recover well enough to do it again 5 or 6 days later. Like, this is not, let's try to get him back to be able to pitch in some capacity. This is where you need to get him back to be an actual starter, and they want him to go, 4, 5, 6 innings on his own, and not have to piggyback and not have to use pitching chaos if they don't have to. And if you have Joe Musgrove a part of this staff, and he could just go for 5 or 6 innings, and then be able to do it again in 5 or 6 days. That's a lot. That's why I think way more beneficial to this team than potentially having that opener day that they've been using for Randy Vasquez, right? Like that's how I see this. I mean, I just think that this team is in a lot better of a position, and they know this. I mean, obviously, it's better to have Joe Musgrove at more of a full go than it is to have him in a smaller capacity. That being said, it's probably still better to have him in a smaller capacity than not at all. But it sounds like I think they have changed their. I think they might have changed their viewpoint on this after they acquired Casey Mize and Robbie Ray, and with the pitching staff doing pretty well. We don't have to rush him back just to get innings. We want to get him back into a spot where we don't put him back on the IL. He's back for good, and he's back for good doing what we expect him to do and what he expects himself to do.
Yeah, and again, that really helps, and also having the pitchers that you have start working back to what they normally can do. This time last month, you're talking about how quickly can you get Joe Musgrove back that doesn't hurt him. But now with the addition of Ray and Mize, you're in a position where you can afford to take your time. You can afford to really lengthen him and get him, being Joe Musgrove, pronouns, pal, really get him into a mode where he can be helpful immediately instead of trying to ease him back in at the most crucial part of the season.
Yeah, I mean, the Mets series this week was frustrating, and we talked about it in the last hour. The encouraging sign is the pitching staff and the starting staff. They absolutely left that series on the table this week. I mean, they lost 2-1 on Monday, and they got thrown out at home 4 times. 3 of them were, from the outfield, and they lost yesterday 4-2. And both games were very winnable. But the thing was, it wasn't the starting staff. It wasn't because the pitching collapsed. The offense didn't do enough, and Wednesday featured another costly defensive or base running sequence. They lost because of their offense couldn't capitalize on opportunities. It's frustrating, but it's also more survivable problem. It's a more fixable problem. Offense is going to fluctuate. That's baseball, right? I mean, that's just kind of the sport of baseball. But starting pitching is much harder to manufacture, and the fact that the Padres are doing that, I think, gives the Padres a legitimate chance to continue this better style of play and kind of roll through the next portion of the schedule and lead to potentially having a good homestand, because now your starting staff is giving you what you need, and the offense eventually is going to turn things back around again in terms of being more consistent. We have seen them do this already this year, but that's an aspect of this game that fluctuates a lot, is the offense, but it's a very fixable problem.
Yeah, and this week was not the greatest. It was just one of those weeks. But when you have this starting pitching rotation now performing the way it is, and the offense with a more consistent ability to be able to pick them up if they do have a little bit of an off week, it shows the better position that this team finds itself in. Again, you've won 60 now, you've lost 60. You're 8-0 in the final 42 games so far as that concerned. So you are in a very, very good spot as a team. Now just waiting for the final pieces to click in.
Stars, unfortunately, are starting to cool off a little bit, like Jackson Merrill. I mean, we talked about him on the roundtable a little bit and like pitch selection. And I agree with Tony. Like pitch selection it's a lot easier to say it from where we sit because, it's clearly a ball. It clearly looks like a ball. It's like, why would you swing at that? We don't see it the angle of, oh, this slider that disappears away looks just like the fastball early in the zone that I have to be on fast. Otherwise, I'm not going to hit it. And so I think a lot of it is pitch selection with Jackson Merrill, and it's something that he has to work on, obviously. And I think the book is out on Jackson Merrill of don't give him a strike. He hammers strikes. Like anything in the strike zone, he's going to hit. He missed a couple yesterday, but they're going to pitch around this guy, and they're going to make him earn a walk. He's going to have to earn that spot and make teams have to pitch to him differently. But he was one of the hottest hitters in baseball over a 24-game stretch. He had an 1130 OPS, and then the road trip happened. He was 2 for 21 this road trip, Frank, with 10 strikeouts. That's a dramatic swing, in the wrong direction. I don't obviously Merrill's not just suddenly bad, but he's got to be able to overcome the pitching strategy of pitching it outside the zone because they know he's going to swing at it.
Yes, that is something that he is going to have to focus on. And especially, it started looking good. He's gotten his swing back to where he wants his swing to be, but now he's got to get that other part of it in the pitch selection. And like Tony said, on the roundtable, you don't want to just start looking at everything because then you lose the aggression. That helps you get a couple more hits than you probably would have gotten otherwise. So he needs to find that line again, find that balance of patience and aggression, because right now he's gone a little bit too far the aggression side.
Yeah, and the same thing with Manny Machado, who is also cooling down over his last 20 games, 211 batting average, 2 doubles, a home run, 3 for 15 of runners in scoring position. All 3 of those runners in scoring position hits came in the same game, which is obviously a significant decline from the stretch between June 8th to July 28th, when Machado posted a 972 OPS, which was the 7th best in Major League Baseball. So 2 of the 3 or 4 biggest names in the Padres offense, currently struggling outside of Tatis, obviously. Although Xander Bogaerts has, contributed in a little bit, as of late. I think it's just been a little bit under the radar, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the other thing that was mentioned in the daily newsletter today was that the Padres have struggled against unfamiliar starting pitchers and pitchers with different repertoires, which that could potentially be more concerning in October when you're facing some high-level pitchers and some unfamiliar matchups. But that's something the Padres are going to have to overcome. They can't just completely get shut down by a guy they've never seen before because other teams have made adjustments and have hit a lot of these guys. A lot of these players that have been, these pitchers that have had tough years are guys that the Padres have never seen before. And we seem to give them the confidence and get them right where other teams continue to feast on these guys that they haven't seen before.
And that is a problem that a lot of the league has. I mean, Robert Stock, I think, has only pitched 3 or 4 games in the major league. So when a scouting report gets out on a guy,
that's this year. I mean, he used to pitch for the Padres a couple of years ago. He was out of baseball for 2 years, and then he came back. I mean, Robert Stock's a guy that's been around the league, and he was even part of this organization. They got to be able to hit a guy like that.
Yeah, they absolutely should. Now there are things that could change from coming up from the minor leagues or from being out, say, playing in the NPB or whatever. There are things that can change. But yeah, I mean, as far as getting 2 guys like Stock and Zach Thornton, I mean, you do have to be better at that.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot to break down with the offense too on this. I will say this about Xander Bogaerts. He left Wednesday's game with a hamstring cramp. Team characterized it as precautionary. He's been getting on base. Last 25 games, he's got a 354 on base percentage, which is very valuable when the lineup is inconsistent. It's also valuable because he's batting lower in the order, around 7 and 8 the last couple of weeks or so. The Padres don't necessarily need Bogaerts at this point to be a superstar, even though they're paying him like one. They need to continue to give him, they need him to continue to give quality at bats and getting on base. Is that worth $25 million a year? Probably not. But right now, at this point, this is no longer the portion of the season where you're worried about like what you're paying for. At this point, you're trying to win games and you're trying to get production out of the 26 guys that are on your roster, regardless of what their contract might say.
You're just trying to get what you can,
right?
However you can get it. And for Xander to come out of that game, it must have really been bothering him. Now he has gotten a little bit better since hitting at the bottom of the order. He's, as you said, he's been getting on base a lot more. He's getting hits here and there, sprinkling some doubles here and there. But I don't think it needs to be said that Xander has not performed to the ability that we know he can, that we saw him perform at the end of last season. They do need to get more out of him for sure.
I think Jeremiah Estrada is a little bit of a concern right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like he isn't pitching like the dominant version of himself that we've seen. I didn't think he was pitching like that before he got hurt a couple of times because he's been on the IL twice now. His fastball on Wednesday averaged about 96.2 miles an hour. His season average is 95.9 miles an hour. And last year he was averaging 97.9 miles an hour. His splitter hasn't been nearly as effective as it has in years past. He's falling behind hitters more frequently. This is coming off his second stint on the injured list. And, they got to find a way to get him right for October because he is part of this equation to help out this team come October. And they're expecting to get Jason Adam back before the end of the year, which would be nice. But they need Estrada to pitch a lot better than he has been. He's walking too many guys. The organization believes he is important enough to their postseason plans that they need to figure him out now rather than simply remove him from the equation. But, how much longer can you afford to let a reliever work through innings when every game matters? That's a big question for this Padres team when it comes to the bullpen.
Yeah, for sure. And this is what we were talking about earlier this week, I believe, with the bullpen hierarchy and possibly now relying on Bradley Rodriguez to get you a couple of more high leverage positions as well. There are other guys that you can bring in, of course, David Morgan, and a couple of other guys like Hunter Stratton, who they got at the trade deadline, could probably help you out as far as length. He's not going to be a big time moment guy, but for Jeremiah Estrada, he has not looked like himself. The 13 consecutive strikeouts, he has not looked like that guy in quite some time, even dating back to last year.
Which leads to the eighth inning problem that the Padres have had and a roster crunch that is coming. We're going to talk about that when we come back. There are several players potentially competing for limited roster spots as we have some updates on some players potentially coming back sooner rather than later. We'll get to that when we return. 11:24 on a Thursday. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. That's the Padres baseball to talk on these off days. We only have, only one game on right now in Major League Baseball? Cardinals and Reds?
No, there's a couple. We've got Cardinals, Reds. Cardinals leading the Reds right now 4-1. Bases juiced for the Reds in the sixth inning, 1 out. Top of the fifth inning in Cleveland, 1 on, 1 out. Cleveland Guardians leading the Giants 3-2. Also top of the fifth in Tampa Bay, Toronto leading the Rays 2-1. Games just starting. Bottom of the first inning for all three of these games. Oakland, KC, Atlanta, Chicago, the White Sox, and Seattle, Milwaukee. All of those without a score.
All right. There's our score update here. Games that matter for the Padres, none of those right now. Cardinals and Reds somewhat matter. In terms of like standings games today, the Phillies are off, the Diamondbacks are off, Padres are off. They'll all resume over the weekend starting tomorrow. Tomorrow, it will be the Cardinals and the Phillies, which is a very important series for both the Cardinals, the Phillies, and of course the Padres. As for the Diamondbacks, they are going to be hosting Cincinnati. So who's playing right now? So we'll see how the Reds do down in Arizona. Nick Lodolo going against Eduardo Rodriguez over the weekend. Padres will have the Twins. Dodgers got the Pirates. Cubs are playing in Seattle. Although Seattle's season was kind of like rest in peace their season after what happened in Milwaukee the other day. 22-0. And J-Rod throwing the ball in the stands. Totally hilarious. Did you see, Frank, what the Mariners Reddit page has done?
No, I have not, no.
They have completely checked out of Mariners baseball after the 22-0 game. They have now made their Reddit page into boat enthusiasts. They're fully embracing the Mariners. So everything about, I gotta go look it up again.
That's fantastic.
But it's just people posting their boats.
Nice.
That's where they're at right now. That's the state of Mariner baseball. Top post right now is this boat is called a log bronc, and it is used to move logs around in sawmill ponds. That's where you're at right now, the Mariners Reddit. They're so done with the baseball team after what happened yesterday. Hey fellas, do y'all prefer container ships or tanker ships? That's from Cool Bean 36 2 days ago. Hey, just want to mention the 23rd Richmond Maritime Festival returns this weekend. You'll see some boats. It is wonderful.
That is the best part about having a team name like that, is that you could just completely swap identities at a moment's notice.
It's fantastic.
If the Padres were having a bad season this year, you could just completely turn it into a father appreciation page. You could easily turn it around.
What specific types of Jones Act compliant vessels does your company utilize for deep sea operations? And what are the primary mission profiles for those hulls? My crew just abandoned me at sea. Please help. I don't know how to swim. And it's a picture. I love it. It's great. It's just littered with boats. Here's another one. Did you know that the Washington State ferry system is the largest ferry system in the United States? Oh, man. You know what? That's what you need to
That's actually transcript. That's actually really, really good. That the Padres Reddit was an air fryer themed Reddit when they were really bad.
Milwaukee stopped scoring before reaching 29 runs out of respect for the 29 men aboard the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Oh my God.
I can't believe it. Ridiculous.
That one is fantastic.
Ridiculous.
I love that one. Oh my God, that's so good.
Oh my God.
That one is fantastic.
Oh my God. It's just so bad. Here's a cross section of a 18th century British warship. That's what's on there right now. The content is amazing.
It would be really interesting if it was put on there. There was, during the cleanup at Ground Zero, I think it was maybe like 2006 or something like that. They found in the wall of where, like in the wall of the pit that they had dug out, they found a Revolutionary War era British supply ship.
Oh, that was buried under Manhattan?
That was buried in the wall of the World Trade, like the slurry wall of the World Trade Center. I'd be very interested to see if somebody posts
That's
about
incredible.
that.
It's amazing some of the things that like people find.
If you want to find out about that, there's a great show called Drain the Oceans. It's on National Geographic, which means it's on Disney Plus, season 2, episode 2. That was very, very cool.
Let's transition this into the Padres. Back to the Padres. Seattle, it's just, once your Reddit page turns into something else, the fans are done. Padres fans are not done. Although apparently apparently the Padres Reddit page has turned into an air fryer theme when the Padres were not doing well. Let's talk about the 8th inning problem that the Padres had yesterday. It was another example. Estrada created some trouble. Sungwoo Song throwing error turned into a 2-run inning. And obviously the bigger concern isn't the one mistake. Padres still don't have a complete certainty about the hierarchy behind their starters. Bradley Rodriguez is arguably past Estrada as a preferred 7th inning option. But if Estrada gets right, that changes the entire bullpen, which is obviously a fascinating player to monitor over the final 40 games. I will say this too about the bullpen. You can't use Morejon and Miller every single day. And you can't use Bradley every single day. I mean, you're going to have to use some of these pitchers that are on your roster, Estrada being one of them. The 8th inning was rough yesterday because if you put up a 0 and you don't have your pitcher, like if you don't start the inning off with walks or some hits and create some opportunity for the Mets to add on, you're looking at a way different top of the 9th inning in which that one run that scored actually ties the game instead of still being down 2 more runs.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we said, it's the whole series against the Mets could be just chalked up to.
That's baseball, Susan.
I mean, that's really all that comes down to. It was a rough week in New York. Now coming back home, just put it in the rearview mirror, try to do the best you can.
Let's get to the roster crunch that's coming up. We have a couple of minutes here, and then we're going to get to we're gonna kind of continue the conversation in the next segment. Several players are potentially competing for limited roster spots because you have guys coming back. Samad Taylor has started his rehab assignment. I think he homered yesterday or 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. So Samad Taylor's coming back soon. Miguel Andujar has begun to swing a bat again, and there is some smoke to this Ethan Salas fire because Kevin Acee wrote about it in his newsletter. Austin Hayes has gone 4 for 16 recently, but do the Padres believe he could provide enough offense to justify keeping him around? Sungwoo Song, tough error yesterday defensively. I think he's on the team to be a defensive player, but he's also hitting .202 with a .263 slugging percentage. I mean, that's difficult to carry on a contending roster. The defensive versatility helps, but the Padres may have some better options as we begin on the horizon. So, you're going to have a little bit of a roster crunch here on who makes this team and who is part of this team in the month of September with Samad Taylor, Miguel Andujar potentially coming back. You get to expand the roster 2 extra spots in September, so maybe the Padres will utilize that. But, I mean, if you're Austin Hayes and Sungwoo Song and even a Jace Bowen, you can't be too comfortable right now. I mean, you got to be able to continue to play at a high level to stay on this team.
Yeah, and I think for a guy like Jace Bowen, especially a guy who you could say he hasn't necessarily gotten the opportunity to be in there every single day the way you would have thought he would when he came up. He has had some great moments for sure. He's had some big moments for sure, but he's probably one of the first ones that would probably go. And my guess would be when Samad Taylor is ready, that would be when Jace Bowen goes. He might be back up later in the week or in a couple of weeks when the rosters expand to 28. But other than that, there are some guys who are definitely going to be on the chopping block here.
The interesting thing, though, is the Ethan Salas situation. They keep writing about it. He continues to do well in AAA. So what's the argument for calling him up? We're going to talk about that when we return on the Braden Surprenant Show, Standing As Urban Sports Station 97 through the Fan. 11:41 on a Thursday. Getting ready for the weekend here. School's back in session. We're getting closer to fall. We got high school football starting up tomorrow. Actually, I think there might be a game today, if I'm not mistaken. We'll get some high school football talk later in tomorrow. As we got a new voter in the poll. Our guy Frank Marchese invited
Why
to
you put me on blast
vote
like
in
that?
the poll. Your name's going to get posted in the newspaper after you vote. So for anybody that has problems with the high school football top 10, don't complain to me. Complain to Frank, because Frank's the new guy.
Stop it.
Now, here's the deal, Frank. Like, now, got to think about a little extra criticism on when we criticize the AP top 25. Are you ready for said criticism when you might have Helix a little bit too high? Better lock in.
Yeah. Okay.
Got to lock in. Let's go. Lock in. High school football. We got some good games coming up tomorrow. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show today. We'll probably talk more about it tomorrow. I'll get you a high school football preview each and every Friday. We'll recap some stuff on Monday or Tuesday because we like to talk a little high school football on this show. And there's a lot of great football being played here in town, so we'll have a lot of good information for you on that. I do want to continue with our Padres conversation about a kid that probably just recently should have been in high school, and Ethan Salas, who signed as a 16-year-old with the Padres. This is a different angle I didn't think about when it comes to whether or not you bring up Ethan Salas. Now, right now, like, the Padres don't necessarily need Ethan Salas, in my opinion. Do you think the Padres need Ethan Salas right now,
No.
Frank? I really don't think they do. From a catching perspective, the Padres have been pretty good. Since the All-Star break, Padres catchers are hitting .299 collectively. They have a .377 on base percentage. They've reached base safely in 31 of 32 games, which is way better than what they were before the All-Star break, a .184 batting average and a .276 on base percentage. It's an enormous turnaround. Whatever concerns existed about the position earlier in the season have obviously been significantly reduced. Now, for the Ethan Salas conversation, I think there is something to be said about giving a young guy some major league reps, the catcher of the future, right? And we'll talk about some of the pros here in a second. But I think before we dive into this conversation, I don't necessarily think the Padres need him to help contribute at this time. He's only 20 years old, but the Padres are intrigued by getting him some major league experience. The Padres have we noticed the Padres to try to manipulate service time? No. I don't even think AJ really cares about that. He's going to play the best guys in his organization at the major league level. So the argument for this was in Kevin Acey's daily newsletter. So we're talking about this because I think where there's smoke, there's fire, and we have kind of hinted at, well, maybe Ethan Salas comes up, maybe he doesn't. He's been on a tear in AAA. We keep hearing about the maturity above his years. When we played the clip for you last week of his scrum, his media scrum in AAA, I mean, I thought we were talking to a guy that was like a seasoned vet. That he's only 20 years old. But he's considered the catcher of the future. The Padres could get him exposure to the big leagues. It could accelerate his development. The team believes strongly in the kid's work ethic, and they think he can help the roster. But here's the situation that I didn't even realize with Ethan Salas, nor was I thinking about it. It is what an expected lockout creates in terms of an unusual complication. So, as of right now, if we pull up the Padres roster, okay, he is not on the 40-man, right? He's not.
He is not, no.
He is not on the 40-man. So, you would have to take somebody off to put Ethan Salas on. Fair, fine. You're going to have to do that eventually. But he's not on the 40-man roster. Here's what's significant about the 40-man roster for the Padres, considering if there's a lockout next year. If Salas is placed on the 40-man roster, the Padres wouldn't be able to work with him during the lockout, and he wouldn't be able to continue getting AAA at-bats if the Major League season is postponed or canceled. I think that's kind of significant because at this point, if you're going to pull him up to get some Major League Baseball reps, he is going to be on the 40-man roster now. And he's not going to getting taken off of the 40-man roster because then it would expose him to waivers, right? Like once he gets put on, Frank, they ain't never taking him off.
Right.
So if the question was, is he ready to like dip his feet in Major League Baseball? I think the answer to that is yes. But is he ready to just go to the big leagues? And is he ready to potentially sit out games while the minor leagues are playing because he's now part of the 40-man roster? That is something I didn't really consider nor think about. I think that makes it even more difficult to potentially bring him up in September because like I feel like you're not going to be able to get him extra reps or work with him or be able to talk to him, right? Like this is what this is a guy that would be really affected by, regardless of what he does maybe in a month of getting some development. You still want the kid getting at bats. I mean, next year when he's 21 years old, even if he is good enough to be with the big league ball club out of spring training, he's on the 40-man roster. He doesn't get to participate in anything that's locked out. So that's no spring training. That's no potential, games during the season in AAA if Major League Baseball locks out. I mean, can you afford to have Ethan Salas just not play baseball for a couple of months? And I don't know I couldn't remember. Were they allowed to go play in other leagues? I don't think they're allowed to play in other leagues during the lockout.
I don't think so. No.
I think they were banned from doing that. So it's not like Ethan Salas at that point would just be like sitting around, getting his own work by himself, not playing in games. If you're willing to sacrifice that for a month, that's something to consider here, Frank.
I think that right there should probably be the overarching decision. If there is a lockout, and I understand you don't want to run your team based off of an if, but it's
something to consider.
Yeah, that is a pretty big one, to be able to have control over this kid's development at a time where you are not playing Major League Baseball. If you have the option to do that, you take it. You don't just sit back and trust because, well, he's been doing great so far. I think we could trust him going on his own. I wouldn't want to take that chance. Forget about starting his Major League clock early. Forget about that. To be able to have hands-on, the hands-on ability in his development at a time where no one is allowed to play baseball, I think would be absolutely a huge advantage for the Padres. And that's something that I would definitely be weighing when talking about bringing him up or sending him down or not calling him up.
Does the development benefit of a September call-up outweigh the potential disruption of his development? I think that is more at play here than does him coming up to the big leagues in September and maybe like having not immediate success. I don't think we're in a position right now where that's going to mess with this kid. I think he has overcome a lot of that already. So I don't think that's the problem anymore. I think the problem would be, are you willing to have him not play for an extended period of time, depending on if there's a lockout, when there's a lockout, how long the lockout is. And I think that's an interesting part of this equation. And for me, I feel like that would deter me away from having him play. And I don't think the Padres really care about the clock. I don't think they care about the control time. We have yet to see the Padres really try to manipulate that. And so I don't think they really care. I think if they think he can help the team win a World Series or help the team in September get to the playoffs to ultimately win a World Series, I think they're going to bring him up. But this part, I think it makes you have to think a little bit more before you pull the trigger on that.
This is from Mike Exisa. I'm hoping I'm saying that name right. This is back from December 3rd, 2021. MLB lockout. What is and isn't allowed to happen? during a major league work stoppage. There is a transaction freeze, so everyone involved in a 40-man roster, there's no transactions allowed to be made. Players still do kind of get paid. No workouts at club facilities.
Correct.
Drug testing is considered unlikely. Players can play. So we were wrong about that. Players can play in independent leagues and even professional leagues overseas, Japan, Korea, etc. There is precedent here. As many NHL players played overseas in Europe and Russia during the league's stoppage in 2004-05. The MLBPA would fight any attempt by a team or MLB itself to block a player from playing in another league during the lockout. The minor leagues can go on based on past precedent. It should be business as usual for the minor leagues during the lockout. The notable exception is players on the 40-man roster, i.e. MLB Players Association members, will be expected to stand with their union and not play for an MLB-affiliated minor league team during the lockout. So players can leave, and they can play overseas if they choose, and the minor leagues will be business as usual.
Right. So that's the reason why you wouldn't want to bring him up, because he could be getting reps in the minor leagues while they figure out what's going on in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you're just thinking about next year, right? Like if Ethan Salas is going to be, I think at this point, if you bring up Ethan Salas, it's because you think he can play with the big leagues, which means you have to give him reps. Like, he's not going to come up here and not play. He has to play. It's more beneficial for him to play than it is to not play. So if he comes up in September, expect him to get some playing time. And then on top of that, if you think that it's worth bringing him up, that means you think he's worth getting reps next year, like at the big leagues. Like, he needs to get playing time. And if this is going to hamper him from getting playing time because of a lockout, then I think they should really reconsider if that's the case. Now, they haven't said they're going to pull him up. They think it's intriguing. They think they can help the ball club, according to this report from Kevin Acee. But that's a different caveat that we didn't think.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not on the 40-man roster. In order to be on the big league team, he's got to be on the 40-man roster. So that's going to be something to watch here in the next couple of weeks. What day is it? The 20th?
Today's the 20th. So
we
it's
got 11. We got 12 more days before September 1st.
Yes, next Tuesday is September 1st.
Right. So in that particular conversation, he is going to be we're going to see who they bring up. I don't think they're going to burn a roster spot on Ethan Salas. I think they're going to use it to try to keep like our roster constraint that we talked about last segment. I think it's going to be more so for getting Miguel Andujar back on the roster, keeping Sungwoo Song, getting Samad Taylor back on the roster. That's what I think it's going to be for, per se. Now, I will say this. If one of the catchers goes down, I don't think I'd be shocked if they pulled up Salas. I wouldn't be shocked. But they would have to make a move on the 40-man, and again, you'd have to. I think it'd be an excuse for them to bring him up.
I think it would behoove them more to bring Rodolfo Duran back. I think that would be the smarter move.
I didn't say they should do it. I said I wouldn't be shocked if I got the notification that Ethan Salas would get pulled up.
I agree.
When we come back to start the noon lunchtime hour, we're going to get to our sports thread.
San Diego, no warm-up needed. If it matters in this city, you're hearing about it right here.
The Michael King contract, super creative. I think it's a great win for the Padres.
Real opinions, real takes, no wasted time.
It has been the little things that have outdone San Diego State, and that's where they got to improve.
Live and local on 97.3 The Fan. The Braden Surprenant Show starts now.
New lunchtime hour on The Fan on a Thursday. We're broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. We're going to take a break from our baseball coverage, which is presented by Xfinity. Baseball coverage on 97 through The Fan, presented by Xfinity. Score the most reliable Wi-Fi. One price, 5 years guaranteed. Xfinity. Imagine that. We're going to take a slight break to get to what else is going on in the sports world with today's Sports Thread.
It's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what we got going on today?
I think we're going to talk about this a little bit more here coming up soon, but
Number 1.
Lakers ownership situation continues to get more and more complicated following Mark Walters' blockbuster sale of his majority stake to Bob Iger and Josh Kushner. 5 of the 6 Buss siblings have agreed to sell their remaining stake, while Jeannie Buss is the lone holdout challenging the sale. If the family stake is sold, Jeannie could be left with less than 3% ownership and would need to acquire more shares to maintain her role as Lakers governor. Meanwhile, minority owner Patrick Soon-Shiong, apologies, who owns 4%, says he has no intention of selling, removing another potential source of shares for Jeannie. If the Buss family eventually loses its ownership presence with Jeannie Buss holding a small stake, does that mark the end of the Lakers' connection with the Buss family, or should Jeannie find another way to remain in control of the franchise?
Well, we talked
about a lot of this on Tuesday.
We do know that she's going to fight tooth and nail to maintain her governor status of the team, like their control person of the Lakers, because it's obviously big for her and the Buss family. I think a lot of this is just involved with the siblings getting her back after she kind of backstabbed a couple of them with the Walters sale in the first place. And this is why you don't want to burn bridges, including with your own family, because if she would have been cool about, like, she was in power and completely like shut down her brothers and stuff like that. Now, all of a sudden, she doesn't have the power, she claims she does, but it's going to go through, litigation and stuff like that. And now, all of a sudden, the family's like, oh, what are we going to help you out for? I mean, you totally hosed us in the first chance you could. So, I think it'd be kind of a shame. Obviously, it's kind of the Buss family is big with the Lakers, obviously, but I don't necessarily know Lakers fans to be that upset. I mean, it's been such a circus. They're probably willing to move on from this. But you know what? It would if the Buss family, and more importantly, Jeannie Buss, does not control the Lakers, it will be because of her own doing.
Yeah, and even still, that's just, as you said, the side quest of this whole thing. The Mark Walters situation is just getting crazier and crazier by the day.
And be careful about accounts out there that are just spewing information, just to spew information and get things going. You got to go with what is actually being reported. But Mark Walters at this point is trying to find a way to reallocate like $20 billion. And he's got to the end of the year to do it.
Billion.
And selling the Lakers only gets them, like, I've seen reports of up to like $8 billion back, as low as $3 billion. And the Buss family is going to hold up this sale because of this situation. I mean, it could get to a point where the Buss family prevents, like, this whole ordeal prevents Walter from even selling the team in the first place, and then he has zero. But even if he gets the high end mark of $8 billion because in liquidity, because he has to put that, he has to reallocate it, right, with some of the funds to appease the federal government, he's still $12 billion short. Mm-hmm. That he's got to find other areas, and he's not going to get $12 billion by selling Chelsea. You want to talk about stress and more money, more problems? I mean, having to find $20 billion in liquid assets, that's going to be very interesting to see if he's able to do that in the next, I don't know, September, October, November. He's got 4 months to come up with $20 billion.
And if he does sell the Dodgers, now this is an interesting side of this. How much do you honestly think he could get for the Dodgers when he has $1 billion just in payroll? It's not like every other team where you've got like $300 million in payroll every single season. You have so much money. You have $500 million tied up in payroll, and then you have even more tied up in long-term deferred payments. So that has to, as valuable as the Dodgers are right now as a franchise, which they are valuable, how much does that impact the sale price for the Dodgers?
Well, and he also is not the sole owner, right? True. I mean, he only owns like 20. So even if he sold the Dodgers for his 27% stake, it's still not enough.
No,
it's probably still not going to be enough. And a lot of it had to do with like the stuff that gets really interesting that involves the Dodgers is not necessarily the Dodgers themselves, but his involvement with the TV company that then overpaid for a TV contract that helps pay some of the salaries. That's where things get a little murky when it comes to the Los Angeles Dodgers, potentially. But I'm sure more information is going to come out. I mean, just this week, we had a ton of information. A lot of new information is now reporters are paying more attention to this and looking into it.
Number 2.
The Houston Texans suffered a major blow to their receiving core when second-year wideout Jaden Higgins tore his ACL during a joint practice with the Raiders. Higgins was having an impressive training camp. It was coming off a promising rookie season in which he started 10 games, recorded 525 yards and 6 touchdowns. His loss puts more pressure on Xavier Hutchinson, Tank Dell, and Jalen Noel, but both Dell and Noel have dealt with injuries throughout camps themselves. Houston will now have to find a way to replace Higgins' production while also hoping its other receivers can stay healthy. How big of a problem is this for Houston, and should the Texans look outside the organization for another proven receiver before the season begins?
I just don't know what they're going to find outside of the organization. I mean, they're going to have to wait for cuts at the end of camp and try to piece together their receiving core that way. This is why you try to bring in some depth, in a lot of different positions. So tough blow for the Texans. Their defense is the reason why they're in games anyway. And I think it just puts more pressure on CJ Stroud to show that he is a franchise level quarterback before he goes into a contract year next year.
Absolutely.
Number 3.
There was controversy in Baltimore yesterday. The Orioles were left frustrated after Pete Alonso hit a deep fly ball against the Yankees that was ruled foul and upheld on replay, despite those replays appearing to show the ball potentially passing on the fair side of the foul pole. The play came in a 3-3 tie in the 7th inning, and New York went on to win 5-3. Alonso's manager, Craig Albernaz, and pitcher Chris Bassett all questioned why MLB doesn't have better technology to determine fair or foul calls, especially when baseball already uses advanced ball tracking technology for other decisions. Alonso suggested something similar to the cameras used in the NFL goal line pylons could provide a definitive answer. Should MLB install dedicated cameras or sensors on every foul pole to eliminate these controversial calls, or is the current replay system good enough?
We have the technology. This shouldn't be a problem.
I said, how cool would it be to have a camera in the nose of Jack out in right field? What kind of shot that would be?
I'm surprised they haven't put a camera in Jack at this point.
That's so cool.
He has to be completely in fair territory, though, on the thing, just in case anybody gets up there.
Well, no, if you have it in the middle, of the foul pole, and we've talked about this, if you have it in the middle of the foul pole, if it passes to the right, you know it's fair. If it passes to the left,
What
you know
happens
it's foul.
but if it hits Jack, that's the problem. Like, you would have to look to see where it hits Jack. Unless Jack is completely all, because if it hits Jack, would it be like hitting the foul pole? I mean, then it's going further outside the foul pole. So I don't understand why they put it completely in fair territory. To go back to what you're saying, though, I mean, we have ABS now. Soccer and tennis have their version of VAR in which they could track on and off sides and whether or not a ball is in or out. I mean, we have the technology to do it. I don't know why they haven't put a camera up there on the foul poles or down the foul lines or put in the technology. They have the ability to do it. And so at this point, you might as well do it. I mean, we're about to have the check swing, the ACS coming to Major League Baseball soon. It's already in the minor leagues. Like, this is something that these are things that you have to get right. You don't want human error on fair or foul. And I think having, at least at the bare minimum, having cameras right down the line that are stationary should suffice. It really should. Cardinals not going away.
The game was over. Center fielder dropped what would have been the game-winning catch.
Is that what happened?
Yes. Here he comes, coming in. He's calling off Friedel, and
it goes off the end of his glove,
and
it scores 2 runs because Cincinnati was up 5-4.
Game was over, and instead now they're losing.
And now they got to go to the bottom of the ninth. That's the Cincinnati Reds for you.
That hurts. Hurts a lot.
They're not beating Arizona.
Get ready for another Kirk Herbstreit rant about this.
Oh
team.
my
That'd be
God,
incredible.
that is
Number 4.
That is terrible.
Oklahoma is rewarding head coach Brent Venables with a new 6-year contract extension through 2031 after leading the Sooners to back-to-back national prominence. Venables guided OU to a 10-3 record in a college football playoff appearance in 2025. The program's first college football playoff berth since 2019, while also helping the Sooners thrive in their second season in the SEC with a 6-2 record in the conference. A major reason for the turnaround was Venables taking over defensive play calling as Oklahoma led the nation in tackles for loss and sacks, while finishing among the country's top defenses. After facing pressure following inconsistent seasons early in his tenure, Venables has reestablished stability and positioned the Sooners as a contender moving forward. Did Oklahoma make the right move by extending Venables now, or do coaches in today's college football landscape need a longer track record of success before receiving major extensions?
I mean, at this point, does it really matter? I mean, if you want to get rid of them, you just pay them to go away. These schools have all this money, right? Allegedly. If you want to extend them and put the money out there like that, sure, go for it. I mean, I don't necessarily think that's the greatest of ideas. I do think that schools extend coaches way too fast. And they also fire coaches way too fast. I mean, just let it play out a little bit and see what you got over a couple of years. Obviously, a lot of coaches don't want to be in a lame duck period, which I get. And I'm sure their agents are very much involved. I don't necessarily think Oklahoma had to sign, Venables. I don't think Venables is a super hot commodity on the open coaching carousel. I'm sure he might be, but I don't. He's an okay coach. I'm sure he's a great defensive mind. I'm not sold that he is going to be better at Oklahoma than what Oklahoma was with Lincoln Riley. They've kind of been the same team.
They called that a hit for Burleson?
Went off the guy's glove.
It went off of Tolia's glove. So back-to-back.
No, Michael Tolia.
Yeah, this is
center field situation.
They just showed the center fielder with Myers, and then a high chopper to Tolia at first, and he just boots it into right field.
Oh man!
And another run scored. So now it's 7-5 in a game that should have been over 5 minutes ago.
Wheels have fallen off in Cincinnati.
Number 5.
Padres get to play them one more time.
Yeah, in next road trip, as a matter of fact. The San Antonio City Council voted 6-5 against putting the city's $489 million contribution towards a new Spurs downtown arena to a public vote on the November ballot. That means the proposed $1.3 billion arena can move forward without city voters directly approving the funding. Bexar County voters have already approved $311 million in in-venue tax funding last year, while the Spurs have committed at least $500 million towards the project construction and any cost overruns. Supporters will say the project could transform downtown San Antonio, while opponents have raised concerns about the city's financial situation, including a projected $158 million deficit next year. Should San Antonio residents have been given the opportunity to vote on committing the public money to the Spurs' new arena, or is City Council right to move on with the referendum?
Anytime, this is my own personal belief, anytime taxpayer money is used for stuff, it should be voted on by the taxpayers of whether or not it should be approved.
100%.
That's everything. That's everything. Having 6 or 7 people in a council that are easily manipulated by personal gain on certain things should never say where tax money goes ever. And I don't even care if it benefits like things that I like, right? Like if the city council here in San Diego didn't have to put the Chargers Stadium to a vote and they just approved it, that would have been great. We probably would have kept the Chargers, but you probably you still don't want 6 people, 7 people, whatever it may be, determining where your taxes go or how much you get taxed on things. I think the people should be able to decide that, even though there's probably a lot of Spurs fans stoked about a new arena coming to town. And in Texas, it's a little bit different because of the fact that they don't have state income tax. Their taxes aren't nearly as high. Property tax is incredibly high there in Texas. But, based on taxes, if you're going to increase my taxes, I should have a say in it. Isn't there didn't we throw tea into a harbor for that? Isn't that why they threw
like
tea
that?
in a harbor? No taxation, no representation. I guess the city council represents some people, but if you're going to increase my taxes or decide where the money that I have to give you goes, I should have a say in the matter. That's my own personal belief on that. So
I agree.
I agree with anybody that's upset in San Antonio about this new deal.
Could you imagine if Joshua Baez has the ability to do one of the funniest things ever here?
Oh, a grand slam against the Reds
after the game should have been over 10 minutes ago.
These are all unearned runs, right?
I believe so. He just walked in another run.
Oh my God. This is an epic collapse for Cincinnati. Because I looked up there. So Cincinnati, this is great. When we come back, we'll tell you the chaos that is the Cincinnati Reds and what has happened today. Braden, Surprenant Show. 12:23 on a Thursday here on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. We're live each and every day from 10 to 2. We'll be back again tomorrow with a preview of Padres and Twins. We will also have high school football action for you. I mentioned there's probably a game today. There is. There actually is a game today. Torrey Pines is playing today. They are going to be playing at Radford. I couldn't tell you where that is or who that is. But, they're in Honolulu. They're playing in Hawaii. A handful of teams are playing in Hawaii this week for San Diego. I think El Cap is in Hawaii. I've seen their social media posts. So they're out there in Hawaii. But Torrey Pines will play tonight in Hawaii. So a little bit of a later start time probably for them. I got a lot of good games coming up this weekend, or should I say tomorrow in week 0 of the high school football season. We'll talk about a lot of them tomorrow on the show. As we have some early rivalry games tomorrow. We got, some good non-sectional games tomorrow. We got some of the best teams in San Diego playing tomorrow. High school football is back tomorrow. We also will keep you posted on what's going on in the NFL and college football later on in the 1 o'clock hour, as well as tomorrow. But we have to talk about what's going on in Cincinnati right now. So this is going on in the Reds and Cardinals game. So it's the final game of the series. St. Louis, after today, I think they're playing Philly, and Arizona awaits Cincinnati. St. Louis jumped out to a 4-0 lead. They put up 1 run in the first, and then they put up 3 runs in the third, and they were up 4-0 in Cincinnati. Reds have a big 5-run 6th inning to take a 5-4 lead. They go 0s in the 7th, 0s in the 8th, and then the 9th inning happened. And in the 9th inning, the Reds go into the 9th inning with a 5-4 lead. They bring in Brock Burke to replace TJ Antoine. And the leadoff guy, Jose Fermin, gets a single to left field. 5-4, runner on first, nobody out. Then Brian Torres is hit by a pitch, and they got runners on first and second with nobody out. Blaze Jordan then flies out to center field. Fermin tagged, got the third. Brian Torres is the second. And now we got action here in the ninth inning. Tying run is at third. Go-ahead runs at second with an out in the ninth. Everson Pereira strikes out on a foul tip. And now there's runners on second and third and 2 outs. Do you want to go on it? Do you want to get the clip on MLB scores?
Sure.
See if you can grab it real quick. Just the we'll play the video and just have the audio in the background. You might have to like play it real quick off air to see if they play an ad or something. But right now you have 2 outs and a runner on second and third in the ninth inning, and the Cincinnati Reds have a 5-4 lead, trying to get a victory against St. Louis, who has won the last couple of games. Was it on there?
I'm looking.
I had it on the all summary on the all moments. See if you can find it. If not, it's not a big deal. But it was just it's truly remarkable because JJ Weatherholt got to the dish down 5-4 with 2 outs in the ninth inning. Got the clip?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, here's what happened.
Hold on.
All
I
right.
got the app muted just in case. All right.
Go ahead.
Here we go.
A lot of room on the left side of the infield. The pitch. High fly toward left center. Friedel and Myers converge. Sunshine. A battle of ball dropped. 2 runs will score. Weatherholt at second. A gift. The Reds drop a fly ball that would have ended the game, and the Cardinals miraculously take the lead.
Chip, you could see the trouble coming as those two are converging after the baseball the last second. They're both calling it. Friedel there and right off the glove in center. My goodness.
Not only was that the last out of the game potentially, they were down to their final strike. Cardinals were down to their final strike. Weatherholt flew out to left center, except for Myers couldn't catch the ball. It went off the end of his glove. It scores 2 runs, and the Cardinals take a 6-5 lead in the ninth inning. Then they intentionally walk Ivan Herrera to put runners on first and second to try to get a force out, I guess. Alec Burleson then singled to score. JJ Weatherholt makes it 7-5.
I've got the call for this one, too, because this one was also a little nutty here.
On the Alec Burleson one?
Lock it down. That's going to be the job of, you'd assume, Riley O'Brien.
That's going to skip into right field. Streaking around is Weatherholt. He is going to score without a throw. Good teams take advantage of other teams' mistakes. It's a 2-run lead all of a sudden.
Michael Tolia booted it first.
Yeah, they didn't even mention that. That one went off of Tolia's glove on a high hop.
So then you got like back-to-back errors. I didn't think they gave him an error for that. Maybe they did.
No, that was a single for Burleson.
So Burleson singles makes it 7-5. Jordan Walker walks to make it runners on first and second. To get the bases loaded. Joshua Baez then walks, scores a run. They walk in a run to make it 8-5. They bring in Zach Maxwell to replace Brock Burke. Jose Fermin comes up. He singles on a ground ball to make it 10-5, and then Mason Wynn is finally called out on strikes. Cardinals put up, what is that, a 5 spot or a 6 spot? They have a 6-run ninth inning to take a 10-5 lead in the top of the ninth inning. The Reds now have runners on first and second, 1 out, down 5 in the bottom of the ninth. Cardinals tried to sneak a pitcher in there, but now they got to get Riley O'Brien up and moving just in case they try to close out what has been literally a gift. The Cardinals, that was from Cardinals TV.
Yeah, that was Chip Carey. Yes.
Chip Carey said it. That was a gift from Myers. I mean, it was just like it's a totally catchable ball for Myers, and it goes off the end of his glove. He was so upset that he took the dip out of his mouth and threw it on the ground. He was so upset. and now it's 10-5. I mean, you were one pitch away from winning 5-4 and avoiding getting swept by St. Louis, and instead you now go to the bottom of the ninth inning down 10-5.
And that was after a Matt McClain grand slam in the sixth inning. So, I mean, you had yourself a big moment there, and it just completely gone, fallen by the wayside entirely.
The only game that the Reds won was on Monday. It was part of the doubleheader, but I don't necessarily know if that was from this series or a previous series on that deal. Cardinals won the first game. They lost the second game on Monday. They won the game on Tuesday, and I think they won yesterday too, as they play 5 games here in 4 days. No, Reds did win last night. All right, so they could have won a series today.
We are also on no-hitter watch in Chicago on the south side as the Bravos are shutting out the White Sox right now.
The American League is so interesting to me.
You want to take a guess as to who the Brave pitcher throwing a no-hitter is right now?
I have no idea.
Grant Holmes.
Wow.
It's not Chris Sale. It's not a Spencer Strider. It's not any of the normal
Atlanta
suspects.
Braves.
It's Grant Holmes.
The American League is no bueno. I mean, the White Sox are 6 games up, 6 games over 500 in a division leading spot. The Astros are only a game above 500 on a division leading spot. Yankees have taken over that number 4 spot in the standings. Red Sox trail them by 3.5 games, and they have a 5.5 game lead on Minnesota. But look at Minnesota's got the last spot in the American League wildcard right now. They lead the Rangers by 0.5 game. Toronto, who is resurrected in the second half, is a game out. Cleveland is a game and a half out. Baltimore is a game and a half out. Detroit's a game and a half out. Seattle, who I thought has been just awful in the second half, and they're 7 games under 500, remain only 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. I mean, the American League is just ridiculous. Oh, and by the way, Kansas City is starting to win. They're only 9 games out of a wild card spot.
They're beating the A's right now, 3-0.
Kansas City getting part of that conversation would be hilarious. I'd see how many teams can get tied near the end of the year.
Don't call it a comeback.
Could you imagine if they didn't have the game 163 situation? Or if they went back to that?
Yeah.
Could you imagine with all the ties in the American League wild card? If, let's just say the Mariners caught up and the Tigers and they all ended up tying. Could you imagine the chaos that would be game 163, 4-5 before the postseason?
If Ellie De La Cruz swings at this next pitch, I'm going to jump through the television.
For Kirk Herbstreit?
Yes.
He's going to be, was he up 3-0 now on the count?
He's up 3-0.
2 outs, runners on first and second. They're down 4.
Just gave up an RBI single to Eugenio Suarez. If he swings at this, you'll see me in Cincinnati in a moment.
Ball 4.
Good.
Bases loaded.
Don't call it a comeback, boys.
We'll let you know what they did when we come back. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, standing summer sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, we got a lot to get to. We're going to talk about San Diego FC and their match from yesterday in a second. But this is why, Frank, I told you these fans were never going to leave.
We are in proper Central Division afternoon midweek baseball shenanigans right here.
It's the Reds, who were down 10-5 after making an error with 2 outs and potentially winning the game in the top of the ninth, and then giving up 6 runs to be down 10-5, have made it 10-8 in the bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded, 2 outs. And Riley O'Brien has gotten a little wild. He just walked the bases loaded and now falls down 2-0 to Stevenson. It's just a remarkable game today.
Don't you dare swing. You do not swing until you get a strike on you at this point.
Don't you dare. You sounded like Coach Hines from Mad TV on that one. And it's now 3-0. I can't believe it.
The Reds win
This is why,
game.
but this is why you don't get stuff like this in the American League Central. The American League Central is the most boring baseball product on the planet. The National League Central, you get some action every once in a while.
Locked in now, boys.
Cardinals and Reds, you never know. And he just walked in a run. It's now 10-9.
Bases loaded for Matt McClain, who has a grand slam in this game. Oh, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He had a grand slam to give the Reds a 5-4 lead. Truly remarkable.
Ruh-roh.
Truly remarkable. This is going to be a must finish, but we do have to talk about San Diego FC and what happened yesterday, Frank. Didn't play very well, ended up dropping the game to Portland, which is a tough loss for them. They try to get back on track. It seems to be 1 step forward, 1 step back, or 1 step forward, 2 steps back for this team this year.
Yeah, and for Portland, that was a big game for San Diego FC last night because Portland is the first team that's out of the playoff race, or was the first team out of the playoff race going into last night. So to drop all 3 points in a game where they just never really looked competitive, a game where you didn't have Anders Dreyer because of the red card in the previous match against LAFC, it was not a good night for San Diego FC. The good news is they have a chance this weekend to get it back.
Yeah, and this weekend, hopefully they can bounce back a little bit. But last night, it really didn't seem like they had anything going. As what a letdown! Reds end up losing by 1. They had a line shot to the track that gets run down for the final out. A 10-9 victory for the Cardinals. Truly amazing.
Oh, that stinks.
Oh, that's terrible. That's so terrible. That's terrible in so many different ways. I mean, and O'Brien fell down to the count to McClain there. So that's a gift to St. Louis. What a gift. Anyway, San Diego FC controlled the 65% of the possession. They completed 709 passes to Portland's 304, generated 21 shots to Portland's 11. Yet they still lost 3-1. San Diego FC had the ball, but Portland had all the answers yesterday in this particular contest. Not too many times, Frank, you're going to see that level of possession, that level of controlling the ball, and then coming up empty 3-1.
Yeah, it was more defensive lapses, and CJ Dos Santos did not have the greatest of nights last night. But still, I mean, that's a game that you at least have to draw. Portland's a very tough place to go in and play, but it's crucial for your season. You need a point there. Still a lot of time left, yes, but I mean it's starting to run out. I mean,
San Diego even had 7 corner kicks to Portland having 0.
Yeah.
6 shots on goal for San Diego FC, 5 for Portland. And the first goal of this match, Frank, was like the clearest example of not doing anything with your possession. Portland won the ball back and immediately went the other direction. Velde finished the counterattack with a shot from roughly 25 yards out. San Diego FC had the ball, but Portland gets the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the defensive lapses that we've seen out of San Diego FC this season that we did not see last year, and they're really going to have to hunker down against the Colorado Rapids coming up this weekend, because Colorado, trying to find, let's see where the standings are. It's interesting. The standings are not on the club website. They're on the league website, but not the club. The Rapids are in a playoff spot right now. So for San Diego FC, you need to get a solid performance here out of Colorado. And then after that, you have LA, who now is in that 10th spot in the Western Conference. Really, really need to turn it around.
Let's talk about the defense. They have now allowed 3 goals in a match 3 times this season. March 14th at Dallas, May 16th for Cincinnati, August 19th now, yesterday at Portland. And the second half was particularly concerning. Portland scored in the 51st minute and again in the 68th minute after San Diego FC fought back to tie the match just before halftime. The game was there for the taking, but Portland took control in the second half. And the second Portland goal came from Ariel Lassiter, tapping in a low cross from inside the 6-yard box. Third came when Velde found David De Costa, who cut inside and bent a shot past CJ Dos Santos. I don't necessarily, do we think this is a talent problem, Frank, or a tactical problem, or is it still the youth problem? I mean, it's been very inconsistent on the back end for San Diego FC this year, and that continued to show last night.
You also did have a number of guys sitting in this game. You just played a game on Saturday night. You're going to play another one this upcoming Saturday. McVay was on the bench. Vasquez, Godoy, Bombino were all on the bench. So you pretty much threw out a second team against Portland and hope for the best. So not good in the by way of what you expect out of your club and what you needed out of the game, but you also were not playing at full strength, and you didn't even have Anders Dreyer available.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. Gabriel Perini immediately gives us something to talk about.
Answered back, yeah.
Because he scored his first SDFC goal, second start, third appearance, first season with the club. He signed July 9th. Goal itself was good. I mean, it's because, you got to see San Diego's passing ability. Finished a sequence involving Lewis Morgan and Oni Valakari. He put a left-footed shot into the corner in the first half of stoppage time, which is encouraging, but it also creates an interesting question in terms of, did San Diego FC wait too long to get Pirani into the lineup? But, he's been with the club for about 6 weeks, so there's obviously an adjustment period. If he can provide another legitimate creative option in the midfield, I think it works out for San Diego FC. I think that was something of positive note to talk about when it comes to last night.
And he's got 14 goals in his career, played with DC United these last couple of years, including at the beginning of this season where he only made 6 starts and 7 appearances. So Perini, young Brazilian midfielder, he's only 24. He's got quite a shot on him, and you saw that. And the smarts to not just try to rip that shot, but the way he rolled it in on the far side, making it as difficult as possible for the goalkeeper, was absolutely perfect. And you also got to see Achuri last night. And when they subbed in Achuri late, I believe they subbed him in
59th minute.
Yeah. So he made an immediate impact. So what you wanted to see out of the Tunisian winger, the signing that you want to see on the other side of Anders Dreyer to complement both him and Ingvartsen, that you got to see a little bit of that last night. It looked very, very good what you did get to see.
Well, the other thing too, it's and you obviously have to slowly integrate him as part of this team and get him with the new club and everything like that. How long does that process usually take in soccer for a lot of people that might not be used to it? And how much more, how many more games is it going to be before you start seeing him for the majority of the games, but also before he starts making starts?
It depends on the system. A lot of clubs around the world run the 4-4-3 formation that 4-3-3, sorry, for a formation that San Diego FC runs. It's just how you play in it. And it shouldn't take, it's not necessarily like football where you have to remember plays and get a system down. You do need to work within a system. You do need to learn what the coach is looking for out of the system and how he wants you to play the position. That does take a little bit of time. Fortunately, there are a lot of games coming up where you can kind of get that in-game experience with the system.
The road problem is becoming almost impossible to ignore now. San Diego FC, after the loss yesterday, 2-8-3 on the road across all competitions. It's 13 road matches with only 2 wins. And whatever they're doing at Snapdragon Stadium isn't really translating away from Snapdragon Stadium. Now, I will say this. They've had some pretty tough places to play in. Obviously, They've had to go to Estadio Azteca a couple of times this season. It'd be nice to get some points on the road. I think most of this is just in MLS matches, something that they were very good at last year that they're not doing as well this year.
No, and home hasn't really been all that much of a safe haven either. They're 4-3-3 at home in the MLS at least, and 2-3-5 on the road in MLS play. It has not been. It's just been a really off season for San Diego FC, and I think we're not going to know this year whether or not this is who San Diego FC is or last year is what San Diego FC is. You're looking at two seasons of this team's history in 2 very, very different ways of play and 2 very, very different play styles. So it'd be interesting to see. You're not going to get the answer to that question. Is this the real San Diego FC until next year?
How much of the road how much of the road problem is a problem? Is it a big problem or is it not a big problem?
You equate it to baseball, really.
Right. You want to go 500 on the road? I mean, is this the fatal flaw? I just think they have so many other issues.
They
just like losing on the road. It's not like they're dominating at home and then just getting their ass handed to them on the road. I mean, they're not necessarily doing a lot of things right. And we talked about the inexperience at the beginning of the year. We've talked about, just not playing a full 90 minutes, and then yesterday they controlled the possession and couldn't finish. There's a lot of there's a lot of little things that have not gone San Diego FC's way. There's still plenty of time left in the season. There's still a lot of games left, but like we talked about with the Padres when they were going through the middle part of their season and things were not looking great, eventually you do got to start turning things around. But
looking at the lineup yesterday, you can't really call it inexperience because 8 of the starting 11 were on the club last year. And 1, 2, 3, 4, bless you, I would say about 4.5. Pellegrino came in midway through the season last year. We're on the bench. We're here last year. So it's not like it's a completely different team, different system. It's just they're not getting the same performance that they were getting last year. So it's not inexperience with the system. It's not knowing each other. It's just you're doing similar things and just not getting the same outcome that you were getting last season. And I'm sure that's what's most frustrating out of all of it is that you're playing with the same guys. You've got the same team getting 2 completely different results.
Hasn't been as fun of a season for San Diego FC this year as compared to last year. Still plenty of time to make things happen and improve moving forward. And then we'll get back to that coming up with the weekend. Interesting comments from earlier today from Diamondbacks president and CEO Derek Hall on Ketel Marte's absence. We're going to play that clip for you. We are also going to get to a ruling in a court that drastically changes college football yet again. Eddie Brown will also join us. A lot to get to in the final hour. 1 o'clock on a Thursday. Got NFL football back today. We're going to talk NFL football in just a little bit. We're going to get you the fantasy football report with Eddie Brown. We're going to talk how to get prepared for your draft coming up. You know what? I got not a bone to pick, but I will say this. So we have our work league here, Frank, which is like kind of half of the work and half of people that don't work here.
Yeah.
And Tony Gwynn Jr. is the commissioner of the league. Elo's in the league. Scraby's in the league. John Flint from KSON is in the league.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me guess. Elo, Tony, and Scraby are 1, 2, and 3.
Per what?
For the draft.
Oh,
order.
no. I don't actually get mad at like so people get mad about the draft order that Tony like randomly generates. I don't really care. I don't think he's cheating on the deal. But anyway, so I'm in this fantasy league. Tony like just reactivated the account.
Yeah.
Right? And so I got the notification.
Yeah, Chris was saying that at the start of the deal today.
And then so he restarted the account. So now we got it. So he picked a draft day. And for Tony, like he tries to pick a day that the Padres are off. Fair, fine. One less thing to worry about in a busy schedule that Tony's got. So he picks next Thursday for the draft, which is fine. He picks it at like 6:30. Now here's the problem. I have a high school football game I got to coach at 5 o'clock. So, and this has happened before. And so I put in this group text that we have about it, I said, I was like, Tony always looks up the Cathedral football schedule and schedules drafts while I'm coaching. SMH. It was a joke. But yeah, I was like, I'd actually win this league if I wasn't so hampered all the time with drafting. Now, the best, I've usually done a pretty good job in this league. I usually finish in the top 3. Last year, again, I had a highest scoring team as I always do. And my team gets outplayed 1 week by Chris Ello's team, who just has everybody's team has the game of their life. And then he ends up winning the league last year. I think head-to-head fantasy football is dumb. I think it's the dumbest way to do fantasy football because it doesn't really matter, and I can't prevent the other team from scoring. It's dumb. I think you got to go 1 through 12 every single time, every single week. Like I honestly, the work league that I'm in and my dad's league, if you were to merge them together, would be like the perfect fantasy football league. The scoring in my dad's league is old. It's like mostly about touchdowns and that's it. And you get like bonus points for like however long the touchdown is, which is old. And I understand the philosophy. It's like, hey, last time I checked, you don't add up all the yards at the end of the game and whoever's got the most yards wins the game. Otherwise, Mike Leach would have been like he would have had way more games under his belt in terms of wins. So, but I don't get head-to-head leagues. I feel like at the end of the year, whoever's got the most points should win the league. And then each week you should have like winners of the week where you get a payout or something. Like that's how I kind of view that. But anyway, as I digress with this, I go like, can we do any other time, any other day? Like I'm pretty open to this. Could we just not do it during the football game? And John Flick gets like upset with that because Tony's like, yeah, I don't really care. I just usually do it when I have an off day, but I can be flexible on the time. And I said, we play at 5. Can we like do like 7:30? And then John Flint at KSON goes, I love how we all plan the draft during draft during Braden's game. Well done, gang. It's like, all right, guys, come on, we can move the times around. So I've suggested a lot of different times. Hopefully, we're not drafting during the game. Well, it's still we play once a week. I could do any other day. What about Labor Day? Labor Day is a company holiday. Maybe that should be open for the draft. There's room to discuss. We'll discuss that later. I'll see what Gwen and Chris have to say. Anyway, 833-288-973, 833-288-973. We're going to talk fantasy football with Eddie Brown in just a second, but the Ketel Marte situation gets more and more bizarre by the day. We have been told that he is okay and is doing well, which is obviously the main concern. But there hasn't really been too much of an explanation of where Ketel Marte is or what's going on, to the point that even the Arizona Diamondbacks president and CEO, Derek Hall, has no idea what's going on. So Arizona Diamondbacks president and CEO Derek Hall was on a morning show in Arizona on Arizona Sports 98.7. It's the Bickley and Murata mornings on Arizona Sports. He was on that show, and after 3 days, he has called this thing a complete mystery. Here's what he had to say.
It's still a complete mystery. It's just bizarre. I was on the road with the team. I could tell you, Sunday night at the hotel in Boston, he appeared just fine, and then was just a no-show, as you know. So just bizarre. And we've tried to get answers. Quite honestly, I didn't even go to the game Monday night. We've got a son and his wife who live in Boston, and so I sent them and my wife to the game, and I stayed back at the hotel, speaking with Mike frequently and letting Ketel know that I was there every one to talk. So just, bizarre. Hopefully we get some more answers today.
That is not what I thought was going to happen when I saw that he was on the radio and he was making comments about this. And that also is not like what I thought would be said after what we heard from Torey Lovello from a couple of days ago in Boston, Frank. It seemed like they knew what was going on, and something was in, they said he was okay and all that other stuff. But this makes this thing even more bizarre to me.
Yeah. I mean, even the president of baseball operations has no idea what is going on with this situation. Now, again, we do know where he is now. He's in Arizona. He got imaging done on his knee. But yeah, this is just, there are two incredible stories that have no answer just yet going on in sports right now. It's Mark Walter, and it's now this. I mean, this is just, it's amazing how not even the people in charge know what is going on with Ketel Marte right now.
Yeah, they have no idea. It's just like super shocking. Now, he goes on to talk about like willing to move past this and this latest incident, but they're still looking for reasons.
Personally, I'm disappointed that a player didn't show up and go where he was supposed to, but I could get past it if I hear, a reason why. I mean, we're all sort of sparing judgment because we don't know yet what the explanation is. And again, we all saw him on the trip from Atlanta to Boston, and he was at the hotel with everybody, and then he just, stayed back. So we have to hear why. And then maybe there'll be a reason to help him. And, if it is a personal issue, as his agent says, we need to hear what that is and see if there's a way for us to, either help him or somehow alleviate this whole situation.
I mean, that doesn't sound like he's coming back anytime soon.
No, that sounds like he's out. Like he's done for a while.
But it's also like obviously concerning, for the Diamondbacks, because they'd like to know what's going on. Obviously, they want to be able to help one of their players and Ketel Marte if they can in any capacity, if it's a personal matter. Derek Hall mentioned that he was willing to sit back and talk with Ketel if it was something like that. I mean, this organization really wants to help Ketel Marte, but they don't know what's going on. It's just a bizarre story to me, from top to bottom, of him not showing up, for them not getting a reason, just knowing that he is okay in terms of the communication he has had. And then it's like he's getting an MRI in his knee, which was like kind of random during the week. And now we get to Thursday, and the president and CEO still has no idea what's going on, nor when he's going to come back. It's amazing the process and what has happened here when it comes to Ketel Marte and the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I would believe that he's probably going to be on the restricted list for the foreseeable future. And if he does come back, I don't know if anybody's going to know what actually happened.
I don't think anyone that doesn't absolutely have to know is going to know what happened. Like I doubt that And if it does eventually come out, it'll be because of a leak. It'll be someone within the organization. It'll be a former player that says something on a podcast accidentally. This is just, it is one of the crazier situations, just a player going AWOL after everyone thought that he was fine earlier in the day. And then something happens where he has a problem, and you hope that, he is okay. You hope everyone in his family is okay. But because of course there are bigger things than baseball, but just to just completely just go AWOL instead of like, hey, my mom passed away, it's really affecting me, I need to go home, like that kind of thing. It's no explanation at all being given. And it's insane how nobody from top to bottom knows about what is going on.
If you look at do us a favor and go to Foul Territory and grab the clip from Tim Kirchin talking about it, because he has an update on what like Torey Lovello tried to do and everything like that. But this is just like, it just seems like an unprecedented story. I know there's been other players in the past that have just, one day just not showed up and then just never played again. But it's just a crazy story from start to finish on, what is like where Ketel Marte went and what's going on and everything like that. So, let me know when you have that clip. Here's Tim Kirchin on Foul Territory talking about the Ketel Marte situation.
You have to think this is detrimental to the team in one way or another. And let's not forget, Katie, just, Torey Lovello is one of the great communicators in baseball. I've never seen him ever have a problem talking to anybody about anything. He is so good at that. And even he has not been able to have the conversations with Ketel Marte that he really needs to have. I was told he reached out multiple times and got nothing in return. And that is troublesome in itself. Now, we just have to hope Ketel Marte is okay. And we have to hope that his knee is okay. But this is a tricky spot. And, we can't stress enough, this is a really good player. Doing this in the middle of a playoff race, that's what is even more confusing. Not like this would be okay if he were on a last place team and he went AWOL. It makes it even more important that he's on a contending team trying to make the playoffs.
You almost feel like the guy, you don't want to speculate. But you feel like he's almost just in like so much, he might be in like just so much trouble that he just doesn't want to say anything. It's just, it is just truly a bizarre story that they won't know. And this is different from like the Yu Darvish situation, right? Like Yu Darvish was in open communication with the San Diego Padres about a personal matter he had to attend to. And that's why he was placed on the restricted list. He offered to be placed on the restricted list so he didn't get paid. But there was like this communication with you and the Padres, and it wasn't like some mystery of what was going on with him. And it was personal information that we didn't need to know. But the fact that he's keeping the Diamondbacks in the dark is going to raise a lot of questions and eyebrows, especially when people ask the Arizona Diamondbacks, like, what's going on? Where's Ketel? Have you heard back from him? And Torey Lovello has not gotten anything back. And Derek Hall, the president and CEO, has no idea what's going on with Ketel Marte. It becomes it's not only a interesting story, it's a very scary situation that could be involving Ketel Marte. And yes, they say he's fine and we don't know what's going on, but until you get any type of like better answers from the Arizona Diamondbacks, I think it is a little concerning to know that Ketel Marte is not with the organization right now.
And again, that is pure speculation. And the reason why that is pure speculation is because no one knows what is actually going on. So it is scary to think about that, but it also, I've done my fair share of stupid stuff. And I tried to fix it on my own. And when you know who won the pony, it just made it worse. Sometimes it doesn't matter how bad of a situation you're in, how bad it may look, how embarrassing or it may be, sometimes the best course of action is to just swallow that pride and ask for help, if that is the case, because other people can help you get out or find a way out of a sticky situation if you may find yourself in it. But again, that also might not be his issue. He might not be in a bad spot. It's just we need just somebody that can help him needs to know what's going on.
Right. It's a bizarre story that I thought we might have gotten a little bit more clarification this week, but we actually know less than we did the first time. So something to monitor. Obviously, we'll keep you updated if we get anything on that. We do have Little League World Series action today. Sounds like most of the games are in a weather delay, so who knows if Sweetwater Valley will actually play today or not. They were supposed to be part of the afternoon slate of Little League World Series games, but they have made it to Williamsport. They have really good chance of winning the Little League World Series, obviously with the talent that they have. And if I pull up the bracket, I had it up earlier. We've already had a couple of games yesterday. How about did you watch any of the games yesterday? I had it on during the day off. But I forget what region it was. I think it was the I'm pulling up the bracket right now. I think it was the Southeast region, if I'm not mistaken. From Alabama. They have a girl on their team. There's a couple of girls that play.
Yes, I did see her.
She was mowing down Northwest.
Yes.
Yeah, that was from the Southeast. They ended up losing in extra innings 2-0. Her pitch count got up. She had a no-hitter through like 4 or 5 innings.
Yeah, she was rolling yesterday.
And then she was making all the plays at shortstop when she had an opportunity. Northwest beat Southeast 2-0. Metro knocked off New England 2-1. Today it is I think all the times are Eastern time, if I'm not mistaken. They were expected to have a game today, for Sweetwater Valley. They were going to take on the Midwest today at 3:00. Again, all of the Little League games have been in a rain delay since this earlier today when there was supposed to be a game at noon. Great Lakes and the Mountain Division were supposed to play at noon. Midwest and the West were supposed to play at 3, and in the international side, it was the same thing. Australia and Mexico, who is represented by Tijuana. So we kind of have 2 teams in the Little League World Series, if you will. So Mexico and Australia were expected to play at noon today, and Curacao and Japan were expected to play at 3, but they have all been in a weather delay. So we'll keep you updated if they get those games underway. If not, if they actually end up playing some games later on tonight, it will be just later in the afternoon. But Sweetwater Valley expected to hopefully make their Little League World Series debut, or should I say start, tonight against the Midwest. It is a double elimination bracket. They used to do pool play, but it's a double elimination bracket, and they're going to play their first game hopefully today at 3:00. We'll keep you updated on that one. When we come back, Eddie Brown will join us. We'll talk a little fantasy football with him, and then we'll continue with some other news in the NFL to finish up the show. Braden Surprenant Show, Setting Zone Sports Station 97 through the Fan. What's up, guys? It's Braden Surprenant. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better place to be He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Settings Urban Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Still got a lot to get to here in the next couple of segments, but joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline, it's not Big Bang Banking, it's better, is our fantasy football insider, a fantasy football analyst, if you will, who writes for the San Diego Union Tribune. He has been covering San Diego FC for the Union Tribune this year. He has also been the NFL draft guy, and he writes at least one piece a week on fantasy football. And right now, Eddie Brown is writing a lot of different articles about how you can master and win your draft. Last week, we talked about hidden touches, but this week, you know what, Eddie? A lot of people don't like math, but you're saying it might be time to not hate math as much as people do. What's going on? How you doing?
Great, man. Yeah, I know that's a controversial take. I'm probably in the minority there. I'm just saying, look, if we trust math to land airplanes and predict storms and send, spacecraft where we want them, we could probably trust it to help decide between two receivers in the middle rounds of your fantasy draft. That's all I'm saying.
You know what? We got it. You're talking to a large baseball audience, Eddie, and you kind of have to do math to be a baseball fan. Fantasy football in itself is basically math. You should embrace the math. And that was the whole point of your article this week. I mean, you make the point that fantasy football still starts with opportunity, but advanced metrics can help separate sustainable production from just statistical junk food, if you will. How should fantasy managers balance those two things when they're thinking about the draft and thinking about building their roster this year?
Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of got to this point to where you have to dig a little deeper to see where opportunity is going to be, or better yet, what players are going to be able to take advantage of the opportunity when they get it. And that's, I think, where advanced metrics really kind of steps in. One of the stats that I mentioned was, EPA per dropback, right? I'm talking about, how efficient quarterbacks can sustain drives and, reach the red zone more often and create more touchdown opportunities for everybody around them, and how fantasy points tend to kind of pull with efficient offenses. Well, if you were unsure last year, so you wanted to trade for Drake May early on, and you weren't sure that he was going to keep it going. You weren't sold on the breakout. You thought maybe he was a year early or something. All the advanced metrics last year said that, nope, he's for real. This is the real deal. This is who he is. He's just got there quicker than what a lot of us thought he might. So that's where following these types of statistics can help you really have an advantage outside of just looking at, okay, this is how many yards the guy has, this is how many interceptions he's thrown. That doesn't really tell the full story.
And you're talking specifically about quarterbacks there, but if you could tell fantasy managers to pay attention to just one of the 9 metrics in your article, which one is the most important? Which one would you choose and why?
Well, I think I'd actually say there's probably 2 or 3 that really, really highlight what we're talking about. One thing is opportunity share for running backs. You can't score fantasy points without the football. The other 2 that I think kind of go hand in hand for pass catchers, which is a big part of fantasy football, targets per route run for receivers and yards per route run. So that works for receivers and tight ends specifically. It tells you, it identifies who commands the football when given the chance, and also it combines opportunity and efficiency better than almost any simple receiving statistic does.
We're talking with Eddie Brown, who's our fantasy football insider, as he covers and writes a lot of fantasy news and notes for the San Diego Union Tribune. He has covered San Diego FC. He is a utility man for Ryan Finley over there at the Union Tribune. Let's talk about running backs. You highlighted rushing yards over expected, missed tackles, forced and opportunity share. How do you distinguish between a back who is genuinely creating yards on his own and a back who is simply benefiting from great blocking and a massive workload?
Yeah, I mean, that's where something like missed tackles forced rate comes in, right? It measures how often a runner makes a defender miss. It's especially useful for when poor blocking distorts yards per carry. You might look at somebody I think Ashton Genty would probably be a really great example from last year. He only averaged 3.6 or 3.7 yards per carry. That doesn't look great, especially for somebody who went in the top 5. But if you look at all the underlying metrics, he was way, way ahead of the pack, or at least most, on how he was able to produce counterproductive to the offensive line that he was playing behind. And that's, I think when you factor in his opportunity share, he was among the leaders right up there with somebody like Jonathan Taylor last year as well. So if the line in Las Vegas improves just a little bit, or if they're just, mediocre, I think, he's going to produce in a major way. I think it separates the talent from the talent that he's playing around.
Last one in terms of the metrics, and then we'll go into some more basic strategies for the draft, obviously, with a lot of people, probably in fantasy draft mode right now. But you mentioned air yard share as a way to identify potential fantasy production before it appears in the box score, like a lot of the stats that you have just mentioned. How should fantasy managers use that metric differently from target share? And can a player have high air yard share that actually makes you less confident in his fantasy outlook?
That's a good question. First off, it basically tells you who the team is taking shots with. So a good example of that would be somebody like George Pickens. I think that's somebody, like, when he was in Pittsburgh, we all saw, like, oh, he's dominating air yard share. And so if they really ever get into like a pass, focused offense, it's a player that potentially is going to, take off. And then he gets to Dallas and he gets in a situation where, CeeDee Lamb's not healthy all the time, and they are a pass first offense. And he ended up with roughly about a third of the air yard share in Dallas, and see the type of season that he had. So I think it really, it identifies players that are going to be the alphas in that pass game. You see guys like JSN and Nakua, like those guys dominate their team's, air yard share. Tet McMillan is somebody that in Carolina that dominated his air yard share as a rookie last year. He was a tick below JSN. So that's somebody I would keep an eye on this year and just kind of focus to see if Carolina is able to take a step forward in that pass game behind Bryce Young. I think it sometimes it can be empty, because if somebody never pays off that, I think it says more maybe about the offense, and it kind of requires you to see, okay, well, if he gets in a different situation, maybe I can take a chance on him.
We're talking with Eddie Brown, fantasy football insider, who joins us a lot on Thursdays, get you ready for your lineups. But right now in the month of August, with preseason week number 2 happening and kicking off tonight, we get you ready for your fantasy football draft. So, you mentioned a lot of different advanced numbers, and, maybe there's people driving around right now, Eddie, that want to use some of this to get an edge in their fantasy football draft. Where's the best area? Where can you find this information? Are they in some of those preseason magazines? Do you have this information posted? Where do you find these advanced metrics? As a baseball audience that we have, we know how to go to Fangraphs and a lot of the different baseball websites like Baseball Savant. Where do you get the analytics numbers that you're pulling from here with the NFL?
There's really a lot of good sources out there. I think Pro Football Focus is probably one of the preeminent leaders in that category. I think they got ahead of the curve probably about a decade ago or so, and they've been building on top of that. I think magazines, they incorporate, there's some writers in magazines that incorporate a little bit of it, and they might break out something kind of like what I did in the paper. But overall, that's not their focus. Their focus is basically rankings and like, hey, here, if you just want to grab something and say, who's the top 10 running backs, here you go. But yeah, Pro Football Focus is one place that I definitely go to. I think Fantasy Stats Data does a really good job of that. There's a bunch of different websites that focus on it, and they're just kind of sprouting up all over the place these days. So just kind of find one that you can trust and kind of stick with it and see how it plays out. But the difference is there's a lot. I think what I tried to do this week was kind of narrow the thing, because just like baseball, at some point analytics it's just all over the place, and it's telling you everything. And even analytics can kind of dig a little deeper than what you need it to go, and you kind of end up falling down a rabbit hole. So these specific statistics are the ones that are kind of actionable, I think. And if you come across a good writer that happens to have a good explanation for another statistic I didn't include, then maybe that's worth using as well.
Last thing for you, Eddie, we'll talk more about draft strategy next week as, going into the next couple of weeks. There's probably drafts will start to heighten a little bit. And we'll kind of talk about what's trending. But for you, what are some, kind of rules of thumb for people in terms of research that they should be looking for when they compile stuff together? What should they be looking for? Rankings or like some of this information? I mean, there's obviously a lot out there, but for somebody that it's like trying to draft for the first time, what's the easiest advice that you would give them to research for a draft?
That's a good question. The rankings is a good place to start if you're just starting out, because a lot of the rankings are highly sourced and there's a lot of work that goes into them. So if you're just trying to I want a top 5 quarterback and I want a top, 10 wide receiver and stuff like that, rankings are a good thing to study, especially average draft position, because that's basically telling you what everybody else is doing. It's not just saying these are our rankings. They're taking, data from all the other drafts that are going on and all the mock drafts, all the league drafts that are already happening online, and they're formulating their list that way. So that's a good way. Average draft position rankings is a good way to determine that. I'm also paying attention to injuries, because right now you talk about opportunity. If somebody gets hurt right now, then it's all about like, okay, well, who's the next man up, and trying to figure out, where that person is probably worth drafting on the fly, because everybody's going to have to adjust the same way as far as, people in your league. We're going to all have to decide like, well, Alvin Kamara is, probably going to miss the first month. So does that mean I should draft Devin Neal as Travis Etienne's handcuff? We're going to have to decide those decisions. Pay attention to the injury report.
We appreciate the time, Eddie. As always, we'll talk more about some draft strategy probably next week. I know a couple of rules that you have said over the years I continue to use as I draft. You can win leagues drafting. And it's a big portion of fantasy football, not just living on the waiver wire. So we'll talk more about that next week. We appreciate the time and enjoy the football tonight.
Awesome, Braden. Take care.
Eddie Brown joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. Speaking of football, another court order that's just really messing a lot of stuff up. We'll talk about that to finish up the show. Braden Surprenant Show, standing us over at Sports Station 97 to the Fan. Final segment of the Braden Surprenant Show, setting us over on Sports Station 97.3. The Fan, he's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Thanks again for tuning in to the broadcast today. Leading to Gwynn and Chris, we're going to have a replay of the Padres roundtable. Tony Gwynn Jr. was our special guest today. It's good to have him on. A lot of good, interesting stuff on what's going on behind the scenes with the Padres on today's edition of the Roundtable. And then we have a Scraby show today. Do we have a Scraby show today? We should.
I would assume.
It's never great when you assume things. Never.
Well, I mean, it's not like there's a game that would bump it.
We air in an NFL game today. We are the home of the National Football League here in town, Westwood One Sports. You never know. Never know.
There's a Westwood One.
It could be an NFL game tonight. NFL resumes tonight.
Oh, hold on.
For week 2 of the preseason.
Oh, no. There is a Scraby show.
Wow. The Scraby show.
Yep, there is.
What kind of conscrabies we got today? Is he going to gripe? What do you think his big gripe is today?
I don't know.
You got to tune in and find out. All right, we have some updates for you on the Little League World Series as they pertain to 2 local teams here. Team Mexico is represented by a Little League in Tijuana, so they are part of our local coverage, if you will. It's Tijuana Municipal Little League that is qualified for the Little League World Series. They were expected to play today at about noon, but there has been some serious weather in the area of Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Rain has forced Tijuana Municipal Little League World Series opener against Australia to be postponed a second time, and Sweetwater Valley Little League will not play at all today. Team Mexico will now play at 3:00 p.m. Pacific time at Volunteer Stadium, which is the side stadium over there in Williamsport. The game between Great Lakes and Mountain Regions will take place at the same time at nearby Lomity Stadium. Sweetwater Valley's opener against Davenport, Iowa, will now be moved to Friday. Little League officials said details for that game, as well as the others originally scheduled for Friday, will be announced later today. The 2 team schedules had been in flux since early this morning, with Little League officials initially announcing 3-hour delays for Tijuana Municipal to noon and Sweetwater Valley to 3. Then more rain came, forcing further delays. We will keep you updated on those if anything changes in the next 15 minutes or so. That was with Ryan Finley reporting that from the San Diego Union Tribune. So we'll have to wait to see Sweetwater Valley play until tomorrow. We do not know a time yet, so we will get to that in just a little bit. We have some interesting news in college football that we're going to get to that also impacts the National Football League to an extent. And it is another restraining order made by a court, this time in Louisiana, that has now granted eligibility to 16 players, where a lot of them have been in NFL camps. And so it's an interesting situation, but for more, here was Adam Schefter on ESPN earlier this morning discussing what this court order is and how it impacts not only college, but the NFL.
Pete Thamel on Get Up this morning, and apparently there's a judge in Colorado that's going to issue a further ruling today, and I think there's a lot that's up in the air. What I do know from the NFL standpoint is that on Sunday, August 30th, that is the final NFL cutdown day, there are 32 NFL teams that essentially will be releasing 37 players each. That's 1,184 players. I don't know how many of those 1,184 players have used up all 5 years of their college eligibility, but I would venture to say probably not a lot. So you're talking about the prospect of multiple players who don't make it on the NFL rosters, then having the option, potentially, of going back to play in college football. And then there'll be cases where even a player who has the chance to join a NFL practice squad or even an active roster at the veteran minimum might opt to go back to college football. So college football programs now, as Pete Thamel alluded to, are actually looking at NFL teams and studying preseason tape to figure out how they might round out their roster. And if they're bringing in NFL players on September 1st, then that means they're cutting some players from their college programs. And we are living in an unprecedented Wild West world where it's gotten crazier and crazier. And this may be the single craziest moment that we've seen yet.
I honestly don't know why he's so surprised. I mean, all these media people that continually to push that the NCAA is bad, and they were bad. Okay, they had a lot of stupid rules. But that for every one of them to push like these athletes need to get paid, everything like that, we tried to warn you like 3 or 4 years ago. Like, you're opening up Pandora's box. You don't know what the unintended consequences are. This is getting a little crazy, guys. Like, I'm just like, no, it's great. It's great. Like, I got to pay the college kids. We got to pay these college kids all this money. Like, all this, to pay to play. No. These are the unintended consequences to the actions of, like, now you're going to get these court rulings and everything. And I have thoughts on this, but we have to give away tickets to Luke Combs at Petco Park. If you call in and you're the fifth caller, you'll win a pair of tickets to Luke Combs at Petco Park on June 26th. Ticket info at lukecombs.com. I know there's another day of pre-sale today, so if you missed out on the couple of pre-sales and you still want to go to the concert next June, on June 26th, fifth caller, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Fifth caller, and you'll win a pair of tickets to next year's concert. Luke Combs at Petco Park. All right. As that's going on, I have to say here, like, this is like, I don't want to say I told you so, but I'm going to have a little bit of I told you so on the idea of paying players to play football at the college level. There were going to be unintended consequences for these actions, and we're starting to see more and more of these unintended consequences. Now, I am not in the party of, like, you should never pay these college kids, period. No, I'm totally okay with them getting a free lunch. I'm totally okay with them getting some benefits of having to basically have a full-time job as a college student where they cannot go get a full-time job that pays. Them having to give up a YouTube channel, and I'm just using this specifically, giving up a YouTube channel that you're making money on in order to play college athletics was ultimately stupid. Like, that all needed to be fixed. But you could have just, put in rules, and you could have got in front of this thing instead of just denying it until you were forced to do something by court order. And now you have a situation where, speaking of court orders, they have ruled that 16 players are eligible because they had not used all of their eligibility yet. And now with the new ruling that you get 5 years of eligibility, now all of these kids, that have moved on to the National Football League that didn't get 5 years claim that they deserve to get 5 years. And now you're going to have guys that get cut from an NFL team and then just go enroll somewhere in college for their final semester or their final, year of eligibility, take an opportunity away from somebody that's already on one of these teams. And it's just, I don't understand why we continue to do this nonsense. It's nonsense. I mean, college football has become just aside from like our open, the gift that keeps on giving for chaos. It is nonsense what they have done to college athletics. I mean, as a high school coach right now, it's like a lot of kids are not getting offers because there's no reason to offer these kids for multiple reasons. One, he better be a stud. Otherwise, like, he's going to leave. But then also, if I recruit a high school kid and he comes in and he's a stud, he's going to leave. I mean, why would you ever invest in a high school player when I could just go get a bunch of guys in the transfer portal or grown men that have just gotten NFL experience? I might as well do that. Seems a little bit better. It is crazy. It is honestly crazy what this is. And again, like, these kids are allegedly like getting a degree and stuff like that. I mean, is anybody actually going to school? Are they even paying attention? I mean, I saw a report that like the South Carolina quarterback is not even enrolled in classes. He's doing like an internship at a golf course that's like his course credit to be qualified to play. I mean, just put in a minor league football league. Let the NFL teams draft high school kids, put them in this league that's separate from college, and see what type of success it has. You can pay them whatever you want. And then that way the kids that want to go make money can go do that, and we could get college football and college athletics back to like being college students and not making state-run schools have to come up with endless amounts of money to try to be decent in college football, or make them sacrifice other sports other sports that need to rely on some of this football money to just exist so you could get scholarships to other kids. I mean, right now with the NFL Europe, like, they want to expand in Europe and all that stuff. I don't know why. The reason why they don't do it is because they don't want to spend money on it. They just want the college teams that just produce players for them, like Major League Baseball is trying to do now. But Frank, this is like this is a joke.
No, this is absolutely absurd. It's professional athletes going back to college for athletics. It's ridiculous.
For money. It's for money. It's for money. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, no, it is. And we saw the blowback from it with Alabama basketball last year. I don't understand how you can allow this to go through. Maybe we'll dive deeper into this tomorrow.
We'll dive into it tomorrow. You better believe I'll have my thoughts. Make a minor league. Make the SEC and Big Ten be minor leagues and see if people pay attention to it at that point. It's a crazy deal. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. Gwen and Chris coming up next. We'll talk Padres and Twins tomorrow. High school football starts tomorrow. We got a fun show planned for tomorrow. Look forward to it.